And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome on in, the sports bar on the air. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free to download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps, and our live video stream up and rolling now on our YouTube and Twitch channels, The Fan Rochester. You can like and subscribe while you're there. Gino, I don't know if they're trying to tell us something, but I do like looking out for signs. And the other day, you got animated, spoke very loudly at one point during the show, so loud that it set off the building's security alarm.
That wasn't me, really, was it?
I don't know, but the fact that that somebody set the alarm as if the building was empty while we were still on the air.
Yeah, that's the point.
Was a little alarming. And today, big party going on. Big Halloween party. Big all-staff get-together party. And when they schedule it?
Happy hour. Like, it's not even happy hour. It's like right now. It's like, are we going to go back to work after 2 o'clock today? Or
I think they're are they trying to tell us something with the alarm going off in the middle of our show, with them scheduling parties while we're doing our jobs over here?
We're kind of the forgotten show here in the building. That's fine. That's fine. Well, like, honestly, we are the only, not sports show, only live show in Rochester. Everything else, no. Don't let them fool you.
Pre-recorded. Yeah. Well, I guess this is heavy as the head that wears the crown. I mean, we're the last man standing. We're the survivors. We have to carry the baton. We got to keep this thing going.
It's good.
It's our responsibility.
Actually, this one sounds like it's a lot of fun. Just people getting together, having drinks. Usually these team outings turn into team building, and people hated that here, Danger. The majority of people don't want to play games.
You're
They're
kidding.
Not interested.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Wait, you mean to tell me that adults, when they get together, that they are not interested in playing like silly games when they get together?
Jenga or whatever it is, and force things, and we're going to do this team bonding, and everybody just kind of rolls their eyes. Okay, well, new management, and we're not going to do that. We're just going to hang.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like the, hey, let's all get together and see where things go. Get a couple of cocktails flowing, and everybody converse with whoever they want to converse with. No forced meetings, no forced interactions, no awkward. Yeah, I like that.
And look, and if there's a dartboard, hey, if you want to shoot some darts, great, it's there.
Oh,
cool. Yeah.
You want to shoot pool? Okay, yeah, we'll shoot pool. Whatever. Yes, of course. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that complicated. We're missing out. That's what we're missing out on. Although we got out of having to wear a costume. I think a lot of people were getting ready to dress and wear a costume.
Who?
People that work here, no?
Who?
I don't know.
No one.
Oh,
no,
really?
Who? Who's? I would Gary. Who told you they were dressing?
I thought maybe there would be one or two, for the photo op afterwards. When you take the staff picture afterwards. That
Moose and Breezy are dressing up.
I don't know.
I'm guessing no.
I don't know.
Duffy's dressing up.
Probably not.
No.
What does that mean? What does that say about us? We're
adults?
We take ourselves too seriously? We don't want to have fun?
Well, you and I wondered, should we do this? Should we dress up tomorrow on Halloween? Just because we do have this whole visual audience right now on YouTube and Twitch. And
I saw somebody on ESPN. It was not Will Compton. Who's the other guy that's on Taylor Lewan this morning on ESPN, dressed up as a hot dog one segment, and then the next segment he was dressed up as a pirate. And I'm like, hey, he's fully embracing Halloween. That's the thing, is it? Like, I'm not crazy about dressing up, but if you're gun to head and you're saying you got to dress up for Halloween, I'll do it.
Andy Behrens, all those years when he was with Yahoo, to dress up. He dressed up a couple times, so much so he forgot. He was last year as Andy Dalton. He forgot he was Andy Dalton once before.
Is it tasteless this year if you're a sports fan to don a number 6
Yes.
New York Jets
Yes.
jersey
Yeah.
with the blood stain on the side. That's tasteless.
Yeah, I think that's a little. I've seen that.
Yeah, I saw it too, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. But I could only dress up as Ditka so many years, Gino. And I fully don't have the mustache this year to even pull that off. So I'm struggling. If we're going to do it tomorrow, we haven't committed one way or the other if we're going to do it or not.
Well, if we're going to do it, you got to do it right, I guess. That's kind of the whole point. Like, nobody wants to see me just show up as, old man with a bag of Werthers.
Mm-hmm. That's not really a costume.
No, it's every day.
That's reality.
Yeah.
We've got a fun show lined up for you today. The day before Halloween, Andy Behrens, as you mentioned, will be joining us at 4:25. We'll talk some fantasy football. Andy Behrens of the Deep Shot.
Yeah, as tonight begins with the Ravens and the Dolphins. And, all right, did you wade back into the pool with either of these offenses? I mean, the Dolphins showed a little something against the defense that we thought was okay against Atlanta. That was a really weird outcome. But here are the Ravens coming back in with their quarterback. There's other questions I have for them, too. Like, hey, this Carolina running game is fun until you have Andy Dalton at quarterback, and now they're playing Green Bay. So there's a lot of, start, sit. Are we still high on Rondé Gatson? Is he becoming a must-play at tight end here? Mm-hmm. To see him go from Syracuse to that, Andy Behrens from the Deep Shot will be joining us in the 4 o'clock hour.
Also joining us in the 4 o'clock hour, we go back to Kansas City, 96.5 The Fan, our Odyssey Sports sister station, and we talk to Alex Gold.
So yesterday was Binkley Day, and the feedback I got on Binkley was a little more low-key. He didn't come in guns a-blazing, didn't come in. He gave us a little bit of the, everybody's against us with the Chiefs receipts and everything. I'm like, okay. Alex, Cody and Gold, fantastic show on 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. We'll get what's happening out in Kansas City, and are they wary? Because, I don't know, who has more to lose in this game, the Bills or the Chiefs? I think if the Chiefs lose, everybody's just going to assume, they're fine. Their offense is going to be fine.
Oh, there's more pressure on the Bills.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think there's more pressure on the Bills. You can join us on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. That number is 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com.
We'll get to the World Series here in a little bit, but when you have a former player who gives takes the way Steve Smith does, and let me just stop right there. So many guys get into the media, and they're going to mamby-pamby it, like Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady really criticizing any player that he sees on the field? I think what drew my attention originally to Steve Smith, and I believe he was a Take of the Year nominee for this. Do you remember this, Danger?
Yeah, this is in 2023. This was October of 2023 from the Thursday night game between the Chiefs and the Broncos. And this is when Jerry Jeudy was still with Denver. Steve Smith just eviscerating Jerry Jeudy.
I called out to him because on my podcast, Cut to It, I just talked about guys that maybe have not showed up in a way or in a manner. And so the word that I've used to describe him in the past was a jag, just a guy. Just a guy. And so when I saw him, he's playing well. I wanted to say to him face to face, like, hey, I know I said some things in the past I probably shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to say to him. His response, Mike Robb and Bucky, was ninja.
Ninja?
Yes, I'm using the word ninja. I'm just using the word ninja. I don't mess with you. And it was a curse word. And so I was like, all right. And then he repeated it. So I'll say it again. I'm sorry that I said you were a jag, just a guy who's an average wide receiver they use a first-round pick on that isn't doing anything. I hope today that you actually show up in a way that you haven't showed up in the last couple of years since they drafted you. So if you ever got a problem with Agent 89, I'm sorry for saying that you're an average wide receiver that they eventually will move on. And when teams call me and asking, should they trade for you, I will say no, don't trade for Jerry Jeudy because he's mentally unable to handle constructive criticism from people who watch specifically, can he be a wide receiver? He could be a wide receiver. He's a tier 3. Go back into the studio. I'm done now. Thank you.
He's a tier 3.
Footnote to the story, Jerry Jeudy does get traded to the Browns. Does have a really wild game with in against the Denver. But
would you
since
say
then,
that his characterization of Jerry Jeudy holds up 2 years later? I would say it does.
100%.
He's just a guy.
100%.
He's just a guy. And we bring this up today because on Steve Smith's podcast, In the Crosshairs, being evaluated is none other than Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman. Now, it's year 2 of Keon Coleman.
Now, we, our show, and others have been critical of Keon Coleman, but we've also pointed out some other things too. Like, boy, does he really have the skill set to fit this Bills offense? Are the Bills doing some of the things? We talked to Damon Amendola too, and there's also the storyline that, hey, the Bills don't want Keon Coleman on Hard Knocks. They want to kind of put a lid on his personality, allegedly. So there's a lot going on there. But this is the first time that somebody from the outside has taken a look at Keon Coleman.
This is we've got a little bit here to dissect from Steve Smith, from the Steve Smith podcast. This is Steve Smith on Keon Coleman.
The short version, nothing. Haven't seen anything from him because he hasn't had the opportunities, because the opportunities don't make themselves available. He just doesn't get open fast. Josh Allen looks his way. Josh looks over there, but Josh gets off of him very fast. That means he's taking too long. That means the quarterback doesn't have confidence in your ability to get there.
To win quickly.
He doesn't have the ability to be a true number one, and he's not. He is an undeveloped athlete that really has been put in a position that is unfair to him, because what he brings to the table as a collegiate athlete was good, but people automatically believe and assume that what they did on Sundays is automatically going to translate to him doing the exact same thing in the pros. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't happen that way. It takes time. But what also it takes time is for y'all to realize, maybe he ain't the one. And it's tough. He doesn't run a lot of routes.
Ooh, okay. Is there anything in there we want to object to?
No, I especially agree with the part that he's been put in a bad situation. Not in a bad situation. He's not put in an advantageous spot for what he brings to the table. Because I think from the pre-draft process and through his rookie season, people that evaluate wide receiver a lot closer than you or I do, and guys like Steve Smith would say Keon Coleman probably doesn't belong on the outside. That's not his strength. Big slot. It's a big slot guy. Heard big slot a lot before the Bills drafted him. And the Bills went ahead and paid Khalil Shakir all that money this offseason, and Shakir is kind of that guy. And you've got tight ends. Where do you put – who is your outside receiver? Do you have an outside receiver? Hell, at this point, you could say Mac Hollins is a better wide receiver than Keon Coleman.
Wow. Well.
You can't object to anything he just said there.
I can't. He's just getting going, though. There's more here.
Here's more.
I just don't think Keon Coleman is in the right position. He can't play X. I keep saying it. He cannot play X. That is not a good position for him. You have to get him on the move. You have to create him free access. Watching his plays, man, sometimes he looks like he's loafing. He looks like he's jogging. He ain't the guy. Can't get separation. Can't get off the jam. Doesn't have it. You reached and got burned. But also, too, the difference is you can't teach a dog how to bark. You either got it or you don't. Can he be a dog? I don't know. I don't know him. I'm just watching film. But I also don't have to watch film. I don't have to speak to you to know if you can play football. You've had 345 plays thus far. 210 of them have been receiving snaps, meaning you are a viable option. And they have selected to not throw you the ball a lot of the times.
Now, we'll stop here because, and I'll play you the audio of the Steve Smith film breakdown. It's not as good as what you would see, but
so this is the direction I want to take this. So X, okay, we've established this. Well, who's at fault here? Is it Brandon Beane? Is it Sean McDermott? Or is it the two collectively? Because if you remember when the Bills drafted Keon Coleman, They still had an offensive coordinator who was really, really green in Joe Brady. Joe Brady didn't have a year under his belt at that point. So, again, like, was Brady's offense kind of out on the table there for Brandon Beane and the whole coaching staff to say, this is the type of receiver that we need? And if the answer was yes, we told him, well, okay, then why did the scouting department think that guy could play that position? Was it just the raw ability? Was it Brandon Beane perhaps saying, you know what, we did this with a quarterback once upon a time. We had so much raw ability, and looked how it worked out. And as Smith said, hey, maybe at some point this does work out. Sometimes it does take a little longer. In that first clip, he didn't completely write him off. But to me, that's the story here. It's that, how did he get selected in the first place? Did Brady not have any input? Did he have input and he wasn't being listened to? What happened there?
Were they desperate to find somebody who could fill the Diggs role? Big personality, fun.
Oh, so we value that stuff more than actual.
Is this guy going to be what Diggs was when he first got here in the locker room? You know, big personality, fun guy that everybody wants to be around, real competitive guy, wants the ball, wide receiver one, upside, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, pre-draft, everybody was saying his best trait, or he's best suited in the NFL, is a big slot. So to say that he could be an X, somebody is misguided. And I could share all of the different charts that show separation, and all. Coleman it's not a pretty picture.
Just like, yeah, you'll glaze over with numbers and metrics and everything. Just
it's not a pretty picture.
No, it's not. It's not good. So 2 clips there. Any objections so far?
I haven't heard any. Steve Smith then does a film breakdown of Coleman, and one of the things he says in this, which I found interesting, and again, he's watching film and he's talking while he's watching film, so you're not going to see exactly, you're not going to be able to see what he's saying. You're going to be able to hear what he's saying. I'll tell you that when you watch the film of Coleman on the play that he's breaking down here, it's from last week's game. It's Coleman's catch. And when Coleman makes the grab, he kind of cowers almost immediately. And Smith makes a very astute observation here. It's the kind of observation you can only make when you are a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Up here at the top, look how he catches the football on that slant. He snagged that football with his body. He has zero confidence in his game right now. I don't care what lie he's telling me. What I wrote in my notes, caught with so unsure hands, that tells me everything. He runs the route. He never looks at the corner. Never. Because he doesn't believe in what he's doing. And that's a lack of in him. Then when he catches it with his body, first thing he does is, what does he do? He corrals. Why? Because he never looked at the corner and he has no idea where the defender is on the field. Now, what he should have done, which we've seen him in college do, is catch that thing with his hands, and he tries to get somewhere and get active. That's what we saw him do at Michigan State, and that's what we saw him do at Florida State. Now what we seeing him do with the Buffalo Bills, he ain't the guy.
I can visualize that. I see exactly what he's talking about.
He doesn't look at the corner.
No.
He lines up, he's looking at the ball, he's looking at the quarterback, which you're supposed to do. But he doesn't even glance at where the corner is lined up against him. So he has no idea, as he's running his route, where the corner is. He doesn't catch the ball with his hands. He does kind of catch it with his body. And then when he catches it, it's almost like he turtles, bracing for impact, when he's got nobody really around him. But by slowing down and turtling like that, the defender is up on him, and now the play is over, short gain. So I found that really fascinating, and I really, really appreciate that breakdown. And now one more, Steve Smith Sr. on his podcast, talking about Coleman's numbers.
Look at his route tree right now on this graphic. He has not run one comeback. Look at these numbers. This is crazy. 35% is a go route. Out of the receiving snaps, yak per reception, yak 1.6. Contested targets, 12. Contested catches off those targets. And you remember, I get accused of people who are taller than 6 feet. Oh, Steve, you're jealous. My man, out of 12 contested targets, he got 4. That is less than 30 cents, okay? Less than 30 cents. The 5 stick of gum is 35 cents right now. You can't even buy 5 sticks of gum. 26.7%. He doesn't have the ability to be a true number one, and he's not.
Well, they're looking. They're looking to see if they can add somebody.
Well,
they did it last year.
If you're looking, that would indicate what?
You know already.
So it's tough if you're the Bills.
It's tough.
You're looking, and by looking, this guy who's already not confident is going to be even less confident that he can be a number one in the NFL.
Do you think there are other teams calling for the Bills?
For Keon Coleman?
Correct.
No.
Well, maybe if you recognize that we get him in a different environment, we're actually going to play him in the slot and do some other things and I've seen a lot of trade scenarios, and this is just all hypothetical stuff.
Yeah.
But could you move Keon Coleman and back and get a true number one receiver?
No. Elena Getzenberg, covering the Bills for ESPN, tweeted out a little less than a half hour ago that Coleman was asked if he saw Steve Smith's recent comments about him on Smith's podcast and if he had any response. Coleman said, quote, "Nah, no comment on that. Next question."
Good. That I can get behind.
If he's got any sort of sensitivity to criticism, yeah, best not hear what Steve Smith had to say about his game. It's not pretty. Although, when you see the high percentage of just go routes, he's right. The Bills know. They know. He ain't it.
All right, so where do you think the puck is headed? I'll tell you where I think it's headed. Now, positive news today, and we'll get the official practice report, but in the portion that the team allowed the media to see, Josh Palmer was back out there. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Palmer, although this hasn't been to expectation, I mean, yeah, it's good to have him back in the mix, right? If you have your standard offense of Shakir and Palmer and Kincaid and then Keon Coleman, but also at practice now, still on the practice squad is Gabe Davis. I see Gabe Davis eventually taking the spot of Keon Coleman. Maybe Coleman is out there kind of for a snap here, a snap there, but if they think Gabe has anything left, you're not taking Shakir off the field. You shouldn't take Kincaid off and do it. You should be limiting the snaps for Keon Coleman.
Did you say that you saw some cryptic Keon Coleman?
That was it. DiBiase pointed this out. It was from Keon Coleman's agent who put out a tweet of a clock.
Which could mean how many people does he represent? Just Keon?
Well, the fact that Keon...
Because the trade deadline is coming up. The clock emoji could just mean, hey, time is running out.
Well, that's correct. And it's also Keon Coleman responding to that.
Oh.
I forget what emoji. I think it was laughing, crying emoji. That's what kind of there it is. And then also pointing out that here was, they always do the, hey, we won the game. And it was a good, McDermott's post-game speech. And Coleman is not clapping at all. Coleman is just kind of keeping to himself. Now, I'm not going to read too much into that.
I think you can read into that.
You think
I think that's a wide receiver who's not getting the ball, who's upset that he's not getting the ball.
Oh, timeout. He was targeted the most times. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Like in that game, Danger, where you scored 40 points and a lot of big plays, right? Shakir, what was it, 51 yards? Shakir, that was fantastic running after the catch. Shakir wasn't targeted most times. Kincaid wasn't. It was Keon freaking Coleman. And Coleman doesn't catch his first ball until midway through the third. And you heard the Steve Smith excellent breakdown of, I caught the ball and not sure where the corner is.
Can't separate and struggling. And I imagine probably frustrated at how he's been managed to date. Managed meaning not on the field. I'm saying if we believe what DA is saying, that when he asked the Hard Knocks folks about Keon Coleman and they were told, we're really not showcasing him. Like that's they're squashing his personality. They're neutering his personality.
You think his agent's happy about that? You think that might hurt his earning potential?
No
down
question
the road?
about it.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I think that's part of it too. If you're a big personality, and we get the sense that Keon Coleman is a big personality, and you've got somebody constantly telling you, pipe down, be a professional, act like you've been there before, do whatever, but like that's just not really who he is. He's not happy. He's probably not happy.
Well, there's another angle too here, and that is it's not once but twice. He's been disciplined by the team. And I would think that you would be allowed, if it happens once, okay, maybe you're losing a snap, a series. All Sean McDermott had to do, I think it was the Patriot game, right? He was asked the question, and he said, okay, it was for disciplinary reasons. All he had to do is say coach's decision, or we went with a different package. You didn't have to say that, but you said that. You also said this at the end of the year press conference where you mentioned Keon Coleman by name. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this kid gets in the gym and we're going to have some monster breakout season.
Well, he did get in the gym, and we did like what we saw when we saw him at training camp. I mean, he looked bigger. He looked more athletic. He's looked like he is growing into his role. We're just not seeing it. And I thought Smith did an unbelievable job breaking down some of the issues here with Keon Coleman. And then when you look deeper and you look at the numbers and the charts and the graphs and the analytics, you're like, oh, it's bad. It's bad as it looks. It's as bad as you've heard. And I promise you, if we're seeing it as fans, the Bills know it.
Okay, so what's holding them back? Is it just pride? Is that it? They don't want to embarrass the GM that, okay, and of course it comes into focus this week. Andy Reid is going to want to shove it, and there is an end around the Worthy touchdown. Like, that's coming. So, and it's going to be right in front of your face. Here it is once again. Xavier Worthy. That's the irony here, Danger. But
well, I think
that's the type of wide receiver you would want in that position.
Yeah, that draft was weird, right? You trade picks with the Chiefs. The Chiefs get Worthy. You end up with Coleman.
And then two schmoes in Rochester, me saying, I really want Cooper DeJean. Wow, he helps Philadelphia win the Super Bowl. You wanted Ladd McConkey.
That was my guy.
Ladd McConkey is doing great things. Yeah. He's a legit number one for the Chargers.
It's tough. Speaking of the Bills and training camp, today was a big announcement. The Bills agreeing that they will hold training camp at St. John Fisher here in Rochester for the next 3 years.
3 years. Didn't we think it was going to be like they were always announced in 5-year increments. So I'm happy. And part of the reason,
how long is the deal? The sponsorship deals.
That's it.
That's it, right?
That's it.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So Wegmans is back in as the title sponsor.
There you go.
So this is going to keep. It's fantastic news. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
Like you and I say it every year. We don't take this for granted. At some point down the road, there'll be a different coach. Yes, there will be someday, and a different quarterback someday, and who knows. But for 2.5 weeks, we are a major league city. And for 2.5 weeks, that's our NFL league. It's not major league. It's the NFL. The NFL is in Rochester, Danger, and it's fantastic. So, yes, it's a big win. And for Fisher, they've got to be very pleased. Think of how that campus, how that school has grown with their partnership with the Bills.
Next summer will mark the Bills' 25th camp at Fisher. Fantastic. And they're there for the next 3 years. Announced today by the team. Good stuff. All right. World Series Game 5 last night. We have to review. We have to recap. We have to look ahead to tomorrow night. Okay. Nobody cares when you're right. I already see the feathers perking up as Gene's ready to peacock. I said Jays in 7. What if it's Jays in 6, Gene?
No, like we have our brief 2-minute meeting on what we should talk about. You're like, wow, baseball. Nobody predicted this. I'm like,
I have a take.
What?
I have a take on baseball. I have a take on baseball that I want to share as well. We'll recap Game 5, which was last night. We'll look ahead to tomorrow night's Game 6, which could land the Blue Jays their first World Series since 1993. We'll get to that next on The Fan Rochester.
update.
The Bills announcing a new deal to keep the Bills at Fisher. It's a 3-year deal. Josh Palmer returning to practice today for the team as Kansas City is on the horizon on Sunday. Quarterback Josh Allen facing that Steve Spagnuolo defense.
He's awesome. After the game, we always kind of share a quick little tap, whatever it is. Got a lot of respect for him. He's one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. Shows you a lot of different looks, and he knows how to call a football game, that's for sure.
Week 9 begins tonight. It's the Ravens and Dolphins. Today, the travel day in the World Series. The Blue Jays up 3-2 on the Dodgers. Game number 6 tomorrow night in Toronto. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today get a $50 certificate for half price to Selena's in Village Gate. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the Sports Bar, 866-4326 is our number, 866-4FAN if you want to pull up a stool. Here's my baseball take.
Okay.
Baseball would have a wider following if it was more unpredictable. Right now, guys like you and me and baseball writers shouldn't be able to predict the outcome of the World Series with as great of ease as we've done. You have said this is going to be Dodgers in 7 or Jays in 7, whatever you said.
I
right?
said Jays in 7.
Right.
I told you, but come on. I'm like one of the few. What are you talking about?
Here's what I'm
Everybody
saying.
was Dodgers in 6, Dodgers
I'm
in 5.
comparing it to when you listen to NFL analysts and guys that have played the game and guys that have been following the game or covering the game or whatever. They're wrong all the time. All the time. We just did 20 minutes on Keon Coleman, and would it shock you if 5 years from now, Keon Coleman is actually good? It wouldn't shock me because we get things wrong all the time. Everybody gets things wrong in the NFL all the time. I think it's why we enjoy watching it. Like, would you watch tonight?
I'm going to say this about what Steve Smith, like in this day and age, that like in this present moment, he's correct. Okay,
Yes.
So what he said, we're not wrong about Coleman. What you're saying is that Coleman has a chance to change the narrative. I don't understand. Like,
Let me
okay.
finish. Here's my proposal, because I think it's become too easy for sports fans and people that watch baseball to predict the outcome of baseball. I propose that moving forward, instead of using a round baseball, they use an oblong-shaped ball that they can throw, and we'll have wider ranges of outcome, wider variance than we've ever seen before. I've already seen videos of baseball players using what's the cricket thing called, a wicket, the cricket bat, using that and hitting baseballs with that. I think we're already kind of like moving in that direction. I think that's the next step. Can you really master pitching when the ball is shaped something other than a circle? Where does the ball go? Who knows? Are you making contact? Have no idea.
I think
this is a radical change. I know I'm proposing something radical and drastic. I think this is what the game needs. Just even more variance, even wilder results.
I think the game has a villain. They're the LA Dodgers.
Yes.
And this is why I'm not entertaining your idea. I'm not entertaining your idea. No fun. I don't know where to go with that, actually. No.
You just imagine Shohei up there, like he's got the ball, but the ball is not round anymore. It's almost like the shape of a mini football. And you got to throw that.
I thought you were going to go like something like banana ball, like do things like, okay,
No.
like fans get to say safer out. And,
No, I'm not into that. I don't think you need, you don't need to have the team pour out of a clown car before they do the national anthem or any of that stuff. I'm just saying, if you want a little bit more unpredictability in the game, then because it shouldn't be so easy for you to walk in here on the eve before Game 6 and say, see, I was right. It shouldn't be that easy. It shouldn't.
You got to admit, you're not going to give me any credit for saying, hey, the Dodgers are in trouble here.
Of course not.
Who said the Dodgers bullpen was meh?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I say. It's all too easy to predict. And you know how it is, Gino. Nobody cares when you're right. We only want to tell you when you're wrong.
Well, here's how I'm going to predict tomorrow night's going to go. You ready? Yamamoto's going to deal, okay? And the Dodgers will get over, and it's going to force a Game 7 like I told you before. And you hate when I say that.
And Game 7 will be just throw it up in the air and see what happens.
See what happens. Now, if Jim Riley is going to join us tomorrow, what do the Jays have to do to outlast Yamamoto? That will be wild. Can you imagine if that goes to extra innings and every inning the Jays have a chance to win the World Series? I remember Joe Carter off of Mitch Williams. That was exciting.
You shouldn't be able to predict this. You're right. This is probably going to happen. You shouldn't be able to make this prediction, have it actually happen. This is the problem with baseball.
Okay. I'm predicting the Bills are not going to get clocked. I think Kansas City is going to win convincingly, and people are going to be mopey on Monday. How do you like that?
This is because you can't predict the NFL. Nobody can predict the NFL. You have no idea. What if the Bills win by 20?
Dude, you predicted the Yankees. Let's go back. Yeah, you're right, PJ. The winner of Yankees-Red Sox will go to the World Series.
I thought it was a good take. It was a good take.
Terrible take.
Nah, it was
you
good.
were wrong.
Yeah.
You didn't predict.
Okay, see, this is what you're making my point for me. Nobody cares when you're right. They only want to tell you when you're wrong, like you're doing right now.
You were wrong.
Okay, do I have to tell you that you were wrong about the score of the Panthers-Bills game last week?
Well, I said it was going to be close, and you said you
blowout.
Blowout.
Complete blowout. I think I was the only one. But I'm not taking a victory lap.
You should.
I'm not.
Why not?
Because nobody cares when I'm right. Nobody cares when you're right. They only want to tell us when they're wrong. This is why I want more variance and more wild outcomes.
No. See, this gives the show credibility. If I can say, hey, last week, the Jays are going to win this in 7.
This guy's only worried about credibility.
I guess I'm sounding like baseball. Right there.
No, we're not here to have fun. I want to be credible all the time. Who are you? I want to be credible. Now, look, I didn't see this happening, clearly. I was joking all season long. At the beginning of the season, what was my joke? The Dodgers are going to lose 5 games.
Well, I didn't see Blake Snell
getting teed off on.
Oh, gosh. By the way, when was the last time a guy got 5 hours of sleep? Blake Snell with those eyes is like, dude, get some sleep there. But 2 home runs off of 3 pitches. Oh, if you're a Jays fan or anybody in Canada, you're just relaxing and enjoying watching that last night.
You were actually watching it, whereas Dodger fan was probably fashionably late to the game, missed the first 2 homers.
I love all these clips too. If you've never been, have you ever been to Dodger? I never asked you that.
I've never been to Dodger Stadium.
I have. It's the one thing you don't kind of grasp when you're watching that. It's carved out of the side of a hill. Really, it is. So you come in and you're actually at the top level and you kind of work your way down. But there's only one road in and there's one road out because there's this big giant mountain. And when you have 50,000 people trying to leave, that's how Los Angeles got this knock of being a bad sports town, because people were like, oh my gosh, I don't want to sit in that traffic. Hey, we got the game here. Let's leave in the 7th. Except when it's the World Series, you're not leaving early. So, and now in this day and age where everybody's taking video.
They have trains or anything that can get you in and out of there? It's only cars and it's only one way in, one way out?
You would think
that sounds terrible.
You would think that they would have at least tried something. But what other thing other than baseball do they use Dodger Stadium for?
I got to say, living in New York can be rough sometimes. It gets a little bit of a tough rap. I always say New York is a great state if you love taxes and crime. I joke. But living here versus living, when I hear things like that, I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense. California's a mess. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, you would think if we took our traditions, okay, there's traffic. What do we do here? You tailgate a little bit. I don't think they really tailgate out. At least when I went there, I didn't really see it.
You should tailgate when you're in L.A. because we have really great tacos and the scenery is built. We go for a hike after, we have some tacos, and we go see the Dodgers play in L.A.
Urban planning, I guess, wasn't a thing when Dodger Stadium was built, where they put this.
Guess not.
No.
Yeah, that sounds terrible, having to sit in traffic, especially if they lose and you're just sitting there waiting for everybody to get their stuff together. I mean, even our concert venues in town here, where there's always traffic around sold-out shows, even they have multiple ways in and out.
Do you remember when Brian Gianta was in Amherst for one night?
Yeah.
And this is when, now we've had this renaissance Amherst hockey, which is fantastic, okay? But if you go back to then.
Got a win last night, by the way.
Again, yeah, right, 4 in a row.
4 straight. We don't F with a winning streak.
No, that was Levi shut out. We move on. Laval, you're next up. It was the first time, in a long time, that they drew 9,000. Everybody like, oh my gosh, the traffic in Rochester. You're kidding, right?
When you went to Gabriel Iglesias, how was the traffic around Blue Cross Arena?
Gabriel Iglesias is a singer. I went to. Oh no, I'm sorry. It is
comedian.
Gabriel. Yes, Fluffy.
Fluffy. You forget his
That
real
is
name?
his name.
You're thinking of Enrique Iglesias as the singer. I'm familiar with him.
We just call him Fluffy. That's
I don't
all
know
we
that
call him.
Enrique has been to town any.
Yes, there was traffic. But, I'm happy to share my cheat code with anybody. Because you listen to the Sports Bar, we give back, okay?
Yeah.
Here's the cheat
Yeah,
code,
don't
okay?
park at the arena.
If you have the ability to walk 3 blocks, okay?
Sister cities.
If you live on the west side, sister cities, then you take a right and you're on Plymouth. Bam, you're on 490. It's so easy. And it used to be free, and now they charge $7, which sucks. But Danger, on the other hand, it's still cheaper than walking up, and I would save the $3 and walk the 3 blocks and save the time.
What about the weather? If the weather's crappy and you got to walk 3 blocks.
Well,
It's not like you don't have like a skyway.
I'm not a fan of the P tunnel.
Oh, the P tunnel, meaning the connecting tunnel from the garage to the arena.
Yeah, who monitors the P tunnel?
Yeah,
Shouldn't smell like that.
I don't know that it's. I mean, I do know there have been times where I've been in there. I'm like, ooh. More recent years, I don't have that experience. There's the accordion player passed away.
I guess maybe it's like if you encounter somebody with bad breath, they're forever in your mind will have bad breath. Okay, once you go through the P tunnel, it's like, okay, hold your breath.
I did your hack for the Maniscalco show last fall, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it was, it wasn't a pleasurable walk because it was kind of a chilly night. I want to say it was a night in November, and it was kind of chilly outside. But the arena was sold out. There was a line out the door to get in. It was hard. It was a wait to get in because things just kind of move a little bit. But welcome to any big city ever, anywhere, when you go to a big event. There's always going to be crowds and traffic.
It's going to take you a second to get in.
But I don't like the one way in, one way out thing. That feels like we just laid out multiple resources for you if you're going to the arena downtown, or if you're going to a show. There's multiple ways in, there's multiple ways out. You have options. Here, it's like you have no options. You have one option, in and out, which has to aid in what makes them crazy in Los Angeles with their traffic issues and everything else.
Well, I'm also wondering, too, of that 50,000 plus that were at Dodger Stadium last night. Okay, Mary Hart is there every game. She's there in her jacket. Yeah, Mary Hart used to sit next to the late Larry King. That was always funny. And the last World Series Larry King went to, was that really Larry or was it the hologram? I digress.
I think it's the hologram of Mary Hart at this point, too.
Well, that's a good point. Like, of all those celebrities there last night, hey, look, it's Jason Bateman. Hey, look, it's so-and-so. My buddy, was at the game. My buddy Andy sends me, I guess Justin Bieber was there, too. Shocking, right? Since he's from Canada, he's gravy trading this. How many of those Dodger fans last night, that was actually their first Dodger game of the season? I'm guessing maybe 1 or 2.
I don't have any updates from Magic Johnson's Twitter feed on the World Series. Just some Lakers tweets, but nothing after the pivotal Game 5. If you missed it yesterday, Magic tweeting out, with the series being 2-2, Game 5 is very important. Whichever team wins takes control of the series. The Blue Jays have taken control of the series.
The Washington Nationals, mentioning this for 2 reasons. One, they're the parent of the Red Wings. They hired a new manager. You probably never heard of this guy, Blake Butera. He's 33 years old. I guess this worked in the NFL with Sean McVay. Okay, if you find somebody like this.
Tell me again his name.
Blake Butera.
You know I got hired for a reason. 'Cause I'm Italian. He's 33, but he looks 67.
I don't know. You're just putting somebody in there that knows analytics. I think you have to have a little bit of life experience, too. I'm questioning
What's his baseball background?
The senior player development director for the Rays, and he managed 4 minor league seasons. So he does have minor league
Did he
managing.
play? I mean, that's what I'm curious about. Does he actually, did he play? Does he know what it's like to be on a team with other guys, or is he just a straight-up lab coat? Nerd! I think if I knew he had, pro experience, that other pros would look at him and be like, okay, I respect this guy. But if he comes in and he's a professor and he's just an analytics guy, ew.
So he was the team captain for Boston College.
Okay.
He holds the school record with 112 walks.
Prestige.
Yeah, that's the extent of it. And then he became a manager in the minor leagues at 25.
All right, it's a fast track to being a manager.
I guess maybe I shouldn't scoff at this. If you choose this as your path and you're understanding psychology and things that and you're blending in the new version of analytics and everything else, maybe the Nationals are ahead of the curve.
Can he lead men? Can he get guys to do things that he wants them and needs them to do? Because the analytics piece is one thing, but when you watch a guy like John Schneider take control, you just know that guy has control of his team. Those guys he's one of the guys. He's the leader of men.
Isn't that what you want any manager, man or woman? Hey, that guy, that woman, I'm going to run through a wall for them.
That's right.
And Schneider has that. I've got this. I've got your kind of back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Roberts, to a certain extent, I question some of his moves.
I think he has it.
He has it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a market like LA, it's not New York, but he always has that even keel, not getting up. Gosh, he was the manager when you're going through the Shohei Ohtani betting scandal. So,
right.
that didn't unravel the season.
Yeah. All right. So tomorrow night, Game 6, Jays could win their first World Series since I had just graduated from high school.
I just graduated from college.
From Fordham.
Yeah, that was that over the Phillies. You our sales manager is going to that by himself.
I heard.
Yeah.
Good.
He's going to call in tomorrow. So
yeah? Little live report.
Why not?
Paint a picture, as we like to say.
Paint a picture. What's going on there in Toronto?
Yeah, I don't got a good feeling about tomorrow night. Saturday might be the one. I'm with you.
It's tough. Probably a lot of people are thinking, man, that would be a lot of fun to go up there. It's also Halloween, right?
Oh, and he has kids.
He
has kids in the range. Active kids in the range. In the Halloween range. Well, there's a reason why he's a good seller. That's an impossible pitch. I couldn't get that pitch through. No way.
I have a date day with the executive producer on Saturday. That's why I couldn't even bring it up because I couldn't get home in time for Saturday. I mean, I'm out of the range danger, but then, okay, what's the plan on Saturday? I can't sell that through. I guess I'm not a good seller. That's kind of don't you laugh. You couldn't sell this.
Continuous negotiation. I admitted it. I said there's no way I'd be able to say, "Oh, Halloween? No, I'm going to the World Series. The girls are on their own."
Yeah.
Yeah, no way. Are you kidding? Impossible pitch. I can work some magic, but that takes a little bit more finesse. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Cody Gold joining us next.
That would be Alex Gold.
Alex Gold from Cody and Gold. The show is Cody and Gold.
That's okay.
Alex Gold.
My favorite comedian. I confused which Iglesias we're talking about.
You can hear Alex on 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. That is our Odyssey Sports sister station. Love Alex Gold. So much so that I occasionally mess up his name. Alex Gold joins us next. We'll talk about these Kansas City Chiefs on the way here on The Fan.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Danger. WNIBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bill staying at St. John Fisher. The team announcing today a new deal. It's a 3-year extension. Josh Palmer was limited in practice today as Kansas City coming up here on the horizon. Of course, it is new for Max Harrison, the rookie facing Patrick Mahomes.
Trying to keep myself calm, trying to keep myself focused on just learning them right now. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. Just know that plaster drill is real and just have it in my mindset that every play could be extended no matter what. So just keep preparing that in my mind right now. Hopefully that'll help make Sunday I'll be more alert.
Week 9 begins tonight. It's the Ravens and Dolphins in Miami. Today, a travel day in the World Series. The Blue Jays up 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow night in Toronto. We've got Sabres hockey tonight. Our coverage will begin at 7. The Sabres are in Boston. G. Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Got a fun 4 o'clock hour lined up for you, including fantasy football talk with Andy Behrens from the Deep Shot. He stops by here a little bit before 5 o'clock. And we're going to be joined by Alex Gold, 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, joining us now.
He's here.
Alex, welcome back into the sports bar. Good to have you on. I know that there's a lot of Bills fans going into this game with the notion of, you know what, if they lose to Kansas City in the regular season, it doesn't matter. All that matters is beating them in January. This game, given how both divisions have gotten better, feels like there is some significance here where the loser could find themselves scrapping to try and get into the postseason.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm with you on that, and that's what makes this matchup a little different than in years past. Normally I feel like it's a game where maybe Kansas City's coming in at 7-1, or Buffalo's 7-1 or 6-2, and that's not the exact situation these teams are facing given their division competition. Obviously, the Patriots on that end, the Chiefs are dealing with the Broncos and the Chargers, both looking pretty good here out of the gate. And we know Kansas City the first 2 weeks really struggled, and so I think the game has a major impact in division, number 1 seed, all of that, seeding tiebreakers. If these two teams end up, let's say one is a 2 seed, one is a 3 seed, obviously you want to be the 2 seed, not the 3, if we're talking about one of these teams having to go to the other for a divisional round game if the Colts end up as the 1. And so that's why I don't think anybody is, going to this one thinking, we're holding anything back or anything like that, or we're holding something back or anything like that. But at the same time, I think that's what's been weird about this rivalry down in the regular season against Mahomes, and then 4-0 in favor of Mahomes in the postseason. And so, I was going to ask you guys that very thing we're talking about tomorrow on our show, which is, do Bills fans care as much about this game anymore in the regular season as they maybe did a couple of years ago?
Yeah, we're having a little bit of a struggle with your line, Alex. We're going to
try
and power. We're going to try. You want to try and back, or do you want to try and power through? All right, Gino's going to try, and that's an interesting notion though. Like, do you get the sense that that the Chiefs fan base and that the Chiefs are viewing this as more of a must-win than the Bills do? I said it earlier, and I strongly believe that going into this game, there's more pressure on the Buffalo Bills to win this game than there is the Kansas City Chiefs. You're at home, 1, 2. You're chasing New England, and the expectation going into this season wasn't just to win the division; it was to have the 1 seed and to be in a Super Bowl. Anything short of the Super Bowl for the Bills is a failure. When you're talking about the Chiefs, I mean, look, you expect to be in the postseason, but you're going to stumble during the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, pick up where you left off, I think people here, Alex, have a level head about this. What the panic is, the panic is here in Buffalo that you lose this and the Patriots put another game in between you, and all of a sudden the division, it's a different path. Is there any kind of panic, and if so, to what level in terms of, well, if the Chiefs don't get this one, maybe AFC West isn't Kansas City's this year.
I think it's more on the 1 seed conversation being over, which the Chiefs have been spoiled. Now they've obviously gone to a Super Bowl and won when they weren't a 1 seed, when they had to go on the road throughout. But still, the 1 seed is something that you always want to have, and the Chiefs would be, I think, in a really tough spot to work that one out. I think for the 1 seed, they got to beat Buffalo. They got to at least split with Denver. They got to beat the Colts in a couple weeks as well. So divisionally, the reason why there won't be the full-on panic yet would be you have 2 against Denver still, and then you have the return trip for the Chargers. So the thought is, if you were to lose to Buffalo and you beat the Broncos out of the bye week, then you're probably okay divisionally, at least if you handle your business there. But yeah, this is a huge game. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, these 2 teams, I still think because of the quarterbacks, everybody believes when we fast forward to mid-January, at least we do in Kansas City, that these 2 teams are very likely going to be the 2 that are still at the end of the AFC. But, yeah, it's just a unique path right now.
Alex, talk a little bit about the Chiefs' offense here so far this season. It feels like they've found their groove. Getting Rashee Rice probably helps, although you're losing Pacheco, at least for this game. And it makes me wonder, are the Chiefs one-dimensional here? Do the Bills defensively have an easier time knowing that if they can stop the run? I know it's not easy trying to beat Patrick Mahomes, but stopping the run makes it at least a one-dimensional team.
So Pacheco's been really good the last couple weeks. If we would have talked a month ago, everybody was very down on Isaiah Pacheco. But this rushing attack, the combination they've had with Pacheco, mixing in Kareem Hunt, who's really effective on short yardage, and then kind of easing in the rookie Brashard Smith, it's been effective. In fact, their rushing numbers, they're pacing for their best rushing season since 2015. Surprisingly to a lot of people, they don't have any big names necessarily in the backfield. They don't have a great all-around back. So losing Pacheco hurts. I think everybody here is wondering, does that just mean they're going to try to feed Kareem Hunt way more? I'm not so sure that is the best path for Kansas City. I would like that, actually, I think, if I'm Buffalo. And then would they be willing to trust the rookie Brashard Smith a little bit more? So that's up in the air. I think making a one-dimensional, in hurting the offense, the only question I would have there is, do they just use Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice as an extension of the run game more? Do we see more end-arounds, jet sweeps, short passes near the line of scrimmage, and they just use that, and then they've talked about in the past of an extension of the running game, plus Patrick Mahomes. We all know what Josh Allen can do with his legs, and Mahomes is not going to be at that level mobility-wise, but he also has led this team in rushing plenty of times this year, too. So I don't think it's a huge difference maker, but there's no doubt the rush attack will not be the same without Pacheco.
How do the Chiefs play their secondary? When we saw the Bills against the Vrabel Patriots, it looked like the Vrabel Titans, the 2 high safeties. I'm just curious as to know, because you certainly have an excellent corner in McDuffie, but the rest of this, do the Chiefs, do they go with just kind of the 4? Do they blitz a little bit more? Or is this ultimately what the questions I'm asking you as Steve Spagnuolo, and the answer is who the heck knows?
There's definitely a little bit of what you just said there at the end. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of why he's been this mastermind and the best defensive coordinator during this run in football, is because he is so good about mixing it up week to week and frankly, drive by drive. I mean, the joke always here in Kansas City has been, you better get the Chiefs on your first opening drive of your scripted plays offensively, because nobody has a better counterpunch than Steve Spagnuolo when it comes to a coordinator in football. I mean, truly, if Josh Allen and the Bills, I know that's not how most games work, but if the Bills don't march down the field on the opening drive, or they went 3 and out or something, I think that would be extremely concerning if I'm the Bills, because typically teams have had success first quarter opening drive against the Chiefs. It is the second half and a few drives in, Spags kind of lets you show you your hand, if you will, and then he has the counter. And so I do think it'll be a mixed type of scheme. Definitely loves to blitz. We know, if you look, I don't know if the numbers are still there, but at one point they were going cover 0 more than anybody else in football, at least in the early going. But their strength is the corners, is the secondary. Their weakness defensively is going to be on the defensive line, specifically the interior. Chris Jones, the numbers are not there this year. He's getting double teamed. He's frustrated about it. When he's one-on-one, he's winning at a higher rate than anybody in the league in pressure, but nobody's really giving him that chance. And then you have George Karlaftis, who is having a nice year, but there's really no third threat And that's why a lot of people here want them to go trade for somebody next week to help out this defense. But I think where they're vulnerable is the interior defensive line and linebackers in coverage, which is why I was talking today. I think James Cook as a receiver actually concerns me quite a bit. If they try to either get him out in the flat or some other creative ways, I think the Chiefs are vulnerable there if you're asking Nick Bolton and some of these other linebackers to try to contain James Cook in the passing game, because they've been good actually against the run, guys.
It's funny to me. Like, I think to myself, and I don't know if other Bills fans think the way I think, but I think that they're holding back. I think that there's things that they can do in this offense, the Bills offense, that they haven't shown anybody through this stage of the season because they want to unleash it against Kansas City. And you just mentioned one of those things, getting James Cook more involved in the passing game.
Yeah, I believe it. You know, it's I think the tricky part with that, and we've talked about it on the Chiefs end, and historically, what you just said about them holding stuff back is what we've always said about the Chiefs going into these regular season games from our end here in Kansas City, which is that, all right, Andy's not showing everything. He knows they're facing each other in the playoffs, probably wants to hold things back. I don't know where you guys are. I don't think either team has been in that spot this year to do that. You know, it's certainly not in this matchup either. You know, like the Chiefs dug themselves an 0-2 hole. I don't think they've been able to really hold much back. I certainly don't think going into this game, as you were saying with Buffalo, that either team can afford to hold anything back here. So I am interested in what that wrinkle is going to be for each side. I'm with you on Cook. I think on the Chiefs end, how many times do we see Brown, Worthy, Rice, and Thornton on the field at the same time? It hasn't happened a ton, but that kind of speed, there's not a ton of looks that the Bills or any team have had on that, and I wonder if we see that a bit more going up against the Bills defense that I will be shocked if they play as much zone as the Chiefs have seen the last couple of weeks, where teams are just sitting back and letting Mahomes kind of carve them up.
You realize, Worthy, it's a sore subject here for Bills fans,
oh, yeah.
Bills media,
yeah.
and especially this week where, hey, Keon Coleman, all right, we're in year 2, and here was Steve Smith on his podcast, and he just kind of laid it all out. We reviewed this earlier in the show, and there's really nothing that you can kind of gripe about. Is Andy Reid the type of coach that will go out of his way to showcase Xavier Worthy? Because at this point last year in November, Worthy really hadn't come on. It was toward the latter part and certainly in the postseason. But since that point, it's clear that Kansas City has won this trade.
No doubt. And you know what? I actually like Keon Coleman quite a bit, though, coming out of college. I thought he'd be better than what he has. And obviously the personality and stuff right out of the draft got a lot of attention. And it seems like a really likable person. I've never talked to him in my life, but he seems like a good dude. But yet the production hasn't been there. And yeah, Xavier Worthy last year, when he was forced to be the guy with Rice going down and Hollywood Brown going down, we really saw him develop here. And his role, now that they have for the first time this whole plan coming together, 2 off seasons ago, it was going to be Brown, Rice, Worthy. Well, last year, Brown got hurt in preseason, and as I mentioned, Rice gets hurt 4 weeks in. And so this is only the 3rd week, really, where the Chiefs have been able to have their true plan, and Worthy is definitely a huge part of that. I don't think what's nice about him right now, they're not asking him to do too much, though. I think where he's really effective is going to be what I keep saying is the extension of the run game, which is what the Chiefs love to do and might do more, which is going to be short passing, bubble screen, jet sweeps, end arounds, etc. As far as Andy Reid, and his personality of hey, is he going to showcase him because of the draft and things like that? I think some of that happens more of he's good about that when the mistake happens. So, last week when Travis Kelce doesn't catch a pass, it's batted up in the air, leads to a pick. The very next drive, 2 passes right away, one for a first down, another one for about 36 yards. If you're on the opening drive against Buffalo, let's say Worthy were to fumble, they would go right back to him on the next drive. That's the kind of stuff he's more likely to do than, I'm going to shove it in your face that we have Xavier Worthy and you guys don't.
You mentioned something earlier, and I wanted to go back to it, and that was the desire for Chiefs fans to see the Chiefs make a move at the trade deadline. The Bills have the least amount of cap space available in the NFL, and the Chiefs have the second least amount available. Realistically, is there a move to be made here for either of these teams come Tuesday?
I think within reason, people here have been texting in the show and go get Jeffrey Simmons or something like that. That's not happening. I think, something like that is capable of happening. Could they find a rotational defensive end? You can always get creative, as you guys know, with maneuvering the cap, and you get somebody to restructure or whatever. If you want to get something done, you can get something done at the trade deadline in the NFL. However, I'm not expecting a huge splash, but I do think the Chiefs are going to go and get a defensive lineman. It sounds like in Buffalo, perhaps maybe that's an area as well as wide receiver that you guys are looking at. I don't think it's the trade deadline ever lives up to what any of us want it to be. Like, it's great for us on these shows, and we love talking about the rumors and go get, for the Chiefs fans want them to go trade for Breece Hall and things like that. Usually there's all these rumors, and then we get to Tuesday afternoon, and there's like 4 moves, and we're all disappointed.
So November 23rd, the Bills the Thursday before. They play on Thursday Night Football. So that's Sunday. We can watch whatever game we were going to watch. And I think a lot of people are going to be watching Colts and Chiefs. And if it's not going to be Buffalo or Kansas City, and seemingly the Bengals have faded away for various reasons, how seriously, Alex, should we take the Colts? And I'm going to give you 2 reasons why. Jonathan Taylor's good. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this defensive coordinator. I don't know why or how the Bengals would even let Anarumo walk out the door, but now he's doing what he's doing. But my question is, like, you can't ask any Chief player or anybody like that. Like, but we can certainly look ahead. Like, your thoughts on this matchup here, and are we ready to invite the Colts here to the party?
That's the game where you'll get me on board. If they come to Kansas City in a few weeks and, win the game, or they lose in a very, very close game and Daniel Jones is great and all this, and you'll get me to buy in more. Like, I've been called a Colts hater, and maybe I am hating on the Colts. I'm waiting for the shoe to drop to a certain extent, and it's been long enough that I probably shouldn't be waiting anymore. Daniel Jones is playing great. Jonathan Taylor, if we actually gave MVPs to running backs or allowed them to win, he would be in the running, but he's not, because running backs aren't going to win an MVP award in the year 2025. He'll be the Offensive Player of the Year if he keeps this up. And they have the number 1 offense in football, and they're embarrassing team after team. But I'm sure you guys have heard this comp. I'm not the first person to mention it. It does still, to me, feel like they could end up being the Minnesota Vikings of last year, win a bunch of games. Then all of a sudden, reality hits for Daniel Jones late in the season like it did for Darnold, and they might be a team that loses very early on. The one thing they have going for them, though, is their division, of course, is not nearly as difficult as the NFC North that the Vikings had a year ago, and maybe the Colts are going to end up being the number 1 seed, and if that's the case, Daniel Jones gets to play inside a dome throughout the postseason, and we don't have to have these conversations about how he's going to handle the cold weather and things like that. I'm just skeptical, and yes, it has everything to do with the fact that Daniel Jones is still the quarterback despite how great he's playing.
I think that in your division, in the West, I'm still, for whatever reason, I'm still not bought in on Denver. I know they're in first place, but I think that there's a little bit of fraud in Denver. And, knowing that the Chargers are as beat up as they are, I don't know where that leads them. Are people saying, Alex, that the Chiefs can still win this division? I mean, you've got division games up ahead on the schedule here. It's going to be tight. I mean, if you lose to Buffalo and you lose a couple of those division games, I worry about how the hell did you guys lose to Jacksonville, and why, if Jacksonville starts winning again, why are we going to be talking about Kansas City and Jacksonville farting around?
Yeah, the Jags game is one that's going to bug fans in Kansas City all season long. Yeah, they won at just about every statistical category. They just gave that game away. That was a brutal, brutal loss for them, and it's one that absolutely could come back to bite them. And you know what? Later on in the season, I think Chiefs fans here absolutely think that they can still win this division. I still think they can win this division as well, but it requires them, to me, beating Denver here in a couple weeks. At minimum, they have to split with them, and so they'll play them on Christmas Day as well. Like, the most important game out of the next 3 the Chiefs are playing, they got Buffalo, Denver, and then Indy. The most important, of course, is actually the Denver game. It's not this Sunday against Buffalo, but it feels like it should be, but because of past history. But it's the Broncos game. I mean, if you told me the Chiefs lost to Buffalo, but then beat Denver and beat the Colts, I think the Chiefs are very happy with how the 3-game stretch here would go. But Denver, I get why people are skeptical because, still that offense, I think, is a question mark. But, man, they give up the fewest amount of sacks. They get the most sacks in football. Pat Surtain's going to be hurt during this stretch where they're going to play the Chiefs, but he's not out for the year, it doesn't sound like. So they'll get him back. I actually think that Giants come from behind win. When you have that mentally to carry you all year, like knowing that you're capable of a comeback, like I think that is so powerful. I think that parlays them, and has already, to quite a winning streak here. The Chiefs are going to have their hands full against Denver. The Chargers, people in Kansas City have been through this for years. Everybody hypes up the Chargers. We all watch Herbert, and you're like, man, this guy should be amazing. He's got all the tools, and they got this talent, and then the injuries hit them, and then the Chargers charger. And so nobody here takes the Chargers seriously. To me, it's the Chiefs and Broncos to worry about in the West.
Alex Gold, 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City, Cody and Gold. Alex, for our listeners that might want to get a little more insight, tell everybody about your show where they can get more of your content for free in the Odyssey app.
Yeah, appreciate it. 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. We are on from, I guess it'd be 11 to 3 Eastern time there. If you guys want to check it out, check out the podcast as well. And, we've been doing this for, 5 or 6 years now. Another Chiefs-Bills game on Sunday. I can't wait.
Appreciate it, Alex. Enjoy your weekend, bud. Thanks for the time. There's Alex Gold, 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City, joining us here in the sports bar. Interesting point about the Broncos when you win the way they won against the Giants a couple of weeks ago. And I would say to that, what's the shelf life on a win like that? I think last year when you see what Washington did to the Bears, the Hail Mary, and it propelled them, and they end up in the NFC Championship game. With the Bills, it lasted like 3 weeks. They got 3 weeks out of the comeback against the Ravens, a game they had no business winning. They got a good 3 weeks out of it.
That's true, but that's so early on. But I would say here's a chance to get something like that again if the Bills beat Kansas City. And yes, we've been over this how many times? You got to beat them when it really matters. But in order to get to when it really matters, you have to win games like this. If they win this game, Danger, you look ahead, okay, Miami should be a win. I would think Tampa should be a win, and we'll get to that point. You've got some tough games coming up that you're going to really need to play some better ball.
Well, let's check in with Andy Behrens at the Deep Shot. Talk some fantasy football next in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan Rochester.
Bills announcing a new deal to keep the team at St. John Fisher University. It's a 3-year extension. Josh Palmer returning to practice today for Buffalo. Kansas City is the opponent. Josh Allen has a lot of respect for defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo.
He's awesome. After the game, we always kind of share a quick little tap, whatever it is. Got a lot of respect for him. He's one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. Shows you a lot of different looks, and he knows how to call a football game, that's for sure.
Week 9 begins tonight. It's the Ravens and the Dolphins in South Florida. We'll talk to Andy Behrens from the Deep Shot coming up next year in the Sports Bar. Game 6 of the World Series tomorrow night. The Jays trying to win this. They're up 3-2. We've got Sabres hockey tonight. They're in Boston. Our coverage will begin at 7. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Week 9 gets underway in the NFL tonight. Baltimore, Miami, the return of Lamar Jackson to help you set your lineup and get a win in Week 9. We welcome in from the Deep Shot. Talk some fantasy football with our pal Andy Behrens. So Lamar Jackson is back, Andy. All is well with Baltimore. It's hard for me to even talk about Baltimore after our team got snooped last week.
That was outrageous. Another 11 penalties for the Bears. Just an absolute outlier in that category so far this season. It was dreadful. They're no longer the hottest team in football, but this is pretty exciting if you're a fantasy manager and you are relying on literally any Ravens because Lamar makes it all go. And if you're somehow still in contention and you're just getting Lamar back, man, this team has a particularly friendly schedule in the second half. So we need to be pretty excited about it. You only got a couple hours left, honestly, to trade for some of these guys ahead of a matchup with the Dolphins. That's super friendly. They've got the Vikings out there. That's not a stay away defense this year. They got the Bengals twice on the schedule. They got the Steelers out. I mean, it's friendly. This could be really good for the Ravens moving forward.
We apply some things we saw last week from Buffalo, Carolina, meaning, hey, this running game that we were all kind of scared of for the Panthers, it doesn't matter much if you have Andy Dalton. He was terrible last week, Andy, to the point where I'm now questioning, all right, where Rico Dowdle was having these monster games that propelled you to a win, and sure, Chuba Hubbard's back, and that was kind of a weird breakout too. Your thoughts here, do you stay away from the Carolina backfield knowing that really they don't have the quarterback, and it is a tough defense they're going up here against in Green Bay?
Well, they certainly don't have the quarterback, and they don't have the quarterback whether it's the backup or the starter, honestly, because Bryce Young wasn't particularly impressive early in the year. It is a difficult matchup, and we have seen Rico Dowdle thrive in friendly matchups. I don't know that we've seen him, go full beast mode against a very confident defense, and that's what they're about to face. That said, Dave Canales came about as close as any head coach ever will to really saying that that's going to be Rico Dowdle's backfield moving forward. Called him exceptional in comments to reporters this week. Mentioned wanting to give Chuba Hubbard a chance when he came back from the calf injury. I don't think it's been close between those two in the time that they have shared the backfield, and I think that arrangement probably needs to end unless Chuba can find another level. At the very least, we probably need Rico Dowdle to play the first series in these games.
Andy, trade deadline in the NFL is Tuesday, and also in a lot of fantasy leagues, and you mentioned it there as we were talking about the Ravens. Are there other targets, other players, other situations that you're looking to exploit, knowing now that we have about a half a season's worth of data, there's some defenses that are going to be very, very, very giving to some of these players? Yeah,
I think one of my favorite teams, just as a whole, teams as a whole to target via trade. I've been looking at Washington. I think everybody sees it coming with the Ravens, right? And if you've been holding on, no matter who it is, whether it's Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, I think most competent fantasy managers have known exactly what that offense is capable of in the second half of the season. Man, I've been looking at Washington pretty hard because they are the team that gets the Cowboys in championship week, in week 17. And that Cowboys defense, it just keeps on giving. It's basically created the situation for Dak Prescott that we thought Joe Burrow was going to be in this year. They can't stop anything. It doesn't matter if they're in man. It doesn't matter if they're in zone. They can't stop the run. So Washington is the team that gets to face them in week 17, and that's good for Jaden Daniels. It's good for any receiver who's active, and it is certainly good for JCM.
Well, why don't we jump there? Because, all right, we don't think of Arizona being this bevy of fantasy points. Are you comfortable starting Bam Knight sight unseen here, knowing there's so many different – I would imagine he might be available in some leagues here for Arizona.
I hate when you use the word comfortable because it's invariably in reference to a player that I'm certainly not comfortable starting. Right? But
I guess
anyway.
a situation would be comfortable. The wrong word, but gosh, somebody's got to get the ball in that Arizona backfield.
Exactly. We've been eyeing. We've fallen into a habit now in fantasy where we're just looking for opportunities to pick on the Dallas Cowboys because that defense isn't going to get any better. They don't really have a path to getting any better. Absolutely, I am rolling out Bam Knight in a couple of leagues. I don't know that I'm comfortable with it because I don't think he's been special. I think he's just been a little bit better than Michael Carter. That said, it hardly matters against the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to have opportunities against them. It's not an offense that I trust to fully take advantage of even the friendliest matchup, but I do think that Bam Knight probably has his best game of the year upcoming, and he has a good chance of finding the end zone. I'm not gonna bang the table for it just based on matchup, however, because again, he hasn't looked great, and we don't know yet if Kyler Murray is even going to play.
Andy, at the deep shot, your quarterback rankings for the week, number 1 and number 2, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You can imagine we've been talking about this game quite a bit, so I would guess by your rankings that you believe this has shootout potential.
Yeah, I think certainly now that Rashee Rice has returned to Kansas City, that seems like a Death Star offense to me. That's the final piece that slides into place. We don't think they're going to have Isaiah Pacheco this week, but that hardly matters. They already had a rotation at running back. They're going to be fine. Mahomes is playing great. I think we're back in the mode where, man, if you're going to give Kansas City a game, if you're going to beat them, you better get to 30, 31 points in order for it to be competitive. And obviously it's a frisky defense, but the Bills at their best can do that. They're one of the few teams that's equipped to go toe-to-toe with Kansas City. I mean, we know how it's gone in the regular season. We know how it's gone in the postseason. They're invariably classic games, though. And it's probably the individual game that I'm looking forward to the most.
At last I looked, Brian Thomas Jr. was leading the league in drops. That's not a good thing. But here's Jacksonville coming off a bye, so let's kind of reset here because Brian Thomas Jr. had been the rumor of, in the rumor for being in the trade. Well, he's going to be here this week. At least we know this week here, Andy. Kind of a play him this week, or is that somebody you might want to target there, perhaps? Your thoughts on a player that really hasn't lived up to the status that many of us thought he would?
Yeah, we're half a season down now, too. So this isn't just, 1 or 2 isolated weeks. He has 9 drops officially on 55 targets. That's more drops than he had all of last season on over 130 targets. He is not playing well. And there's no way to sugarcoat it. It's not like Trevor Lawrence is playing great, but these drops are not all on Trevor Lawrence, right? These have been game-changing misplays by Brian Thomas. And if you're hesitant to start him, I get it. I've dropped him in the ranks way off of where he was being drafted, right? Like he was drafted at the round 1, round 2 turn. I mean, even in a week with 4 teams on bye, I've got him in the 20s at receiver. He's just simply not playing well. And then the other thing you have to recognize is that Travis Hunter is really coming on, and it's a very common story for rookie receivers who are huge talents to maybe not break through initially, but begin to ascend in the second half of the season. Certainly coming off a bye, that's the situation for Jacksonville. Hunter saw 14 targets in that game ahead of the bye in London. I mean, it wouldn't be a shock if we all widely consider him the wide receiver one in Jacksonville by the end of the year.
Andy, talking about wide receivers ascending, this one didn't ascend in the second half of his rookie year. All it really took was getting DK Metcalf out of town. How surprised are you at the season that Jackson Smith and Jigba is compiling?
Not at all. This is going to end up one of the things that I
You got a victory lap on?
I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong on a million things, but I took Jackson Smith and Jigba all over the place. And you could usually get him like early third round, which was just stealing. He's great. He's absolutely great. And I thought it became clear, especially in the preseason, a little bit if you just watch him on tape last year, I thought it became clear that he was going to be able to operate anywhere, that he didn't need to be a slot guy, that he was very capable downfield. And, man, he's just a big part of the story for Seattle right now. Sam Darnold is leading the league in yards per attempt at 9.1 YPA. That's crazy. A lot of that is Smith and Jigba downfield. This is a wonderful year, and he's a great player.
Andy Barron's a deep shot, our guest here. Andy, myself included, a lot of us lost our RB2 last week in Cam Scatterboo, and it's not a giant offense that particularly trusts at this point with a rookie quarterback. But your thoughts on that backfield? I mean, a lot of us had to pick up Tyrone Tracy here. So where do you put him? You have him ranked this week as it's a matchup that we don't particularly feel great about, right, against the Niners?
Yeah, I think you obviously you did the right thing in picking up Tyrone Tracy. I think the Giants made it pretty clear that he was going to be, the almost full workload featured runner in Scatterboo's absence. It's terrible because I don't know if anybody was as fun, just purely fun, like stylistically fun, aesthetically fun as Cam Scatterboo this year. His style is just, I don't know. We don't get a lot of it. We don't get a lot of guys who just simply never step out of bounds, who just look for a guy to run into. He was a blast. He was an absolute party, and there just aren't any other running backs like that. Tyrone Tracy is not like that. But all that said, I do think that Tyrone Tracy can actually produce at 90 or 95% of the level that we were getting from Scatterboo. So I don't think it's it's less fun. It's going to make Giants games less fun, but I don't think this is a true season shifter for New York. I think this is a pretty good player, and he looked great last year before he kind of ran out of gas at the end of the season. I thought he was on fumes and a little bit injured by the end of the year, but I thought he really looked good when he came on. So I'd still trust Tracy.
Andy, just some general football takes from you on a couple of teams that I think a lot of people are wanting to believe are going to fail somewhere down the road, because what we see out of Indianapolis is remarkable. They're 7-1. Nobody had them doing what they're doing this year. New England leading the AFC East. These are just two teams in the AFC that I think to myself, okay, this is a nice story, but now halfway through the season, when's the other shoe going to drop? Are you buying stock? Are you believing that these teams are legit? Denver, I guess, would be another one, knowing what we've seen out of Denver so far this year.
I mean, well, here's the bad news for Buffalo fans, right? I think there was an argument to be made that it's not the one I was making, but I think there was an argument to be made that New England might have been a mirage prior to last week. Because the Patriots had not faced much of a schedule. They certainly had not faced a good defense, right? It was the Raiders, the Dolphins, they had the Panthers in there. It wasn't even the Bills defense, very good team, but it's not that formidable a defense. But then they faced the Browns. And for me, that was like the big litmus test of whether Drake May was really an every week fantasy starter. If you put up the numbers that you've been putting up all year and you do it to Cleveland, a defense that is verifiably great and has a game wrecker, and that guy played well enough to wreck the game, and Drake May still put up 280 and 3 touchdowns and 50 rushing yards and was great for fantasy, that was kind of the final question for me about Drake May and the Patriots. And now I think they're real, and they are a team that you actually have to get past. And listen, with Indianapolis, you just got to watch them for like a quarter, And the offense is so well designed. The passing game is so well designed. Unlike what happens when you watch a Bears game, say, receivers are never running into each other. They're never arriving at the same spot at the same time, right? Like it's just a beautiful offense, and they've got it humming. So I certainly believe in those two teams. Denver's probably the team that I feel the most shaky about, because they get themselves in a mess that they then have to extract themselves from. It is a very good defense, but I don't think you can just get through the AFC with a good defense. I think you got to be able to put up 35 reliably. And they've put up some big point totals, but I don't think Bo Nix is ready to go toe-to-toe with Mahomes, with Josh Allen, with Lamar Jackson. I kind of do feel that way about Drake May, though.
Andy, if there's one team that I cannot put my finger on, who are the Atlanta Falcons? Sure, they didn't have their quarterback last week, but they also, when they did have their quarterback, lost 30-0 to Carolina. So, again, I'd ask you, like with Penix coming back and the Patriots with a decent defense, are we trusting this team? Who are these guys?
This is such a good question, because I think Atlanta is both one of the best 10 teams in the league and one of the worst 10 teams in the league, and you don't know which one's going to show up in any given week. I can't believe how bad their losses have been. And also, that's a shockingly good defense. Like, that's the number one pass defense in the league. They don't always show it, but they're just as schizophrenic as any team that like in recent memory. They do need everyone in the pool, though. I mean, they can't be without Drake London. I also think Penix is an upgrade over Kirk Cousins. I think we're just kind of on teams with Kirk Cousins at this stage, and they're going to need Penix playing his best football, and they are absolutely going to need a healthy Drake London. But when they have it, I think they can be a threat to many teams. Not all teams, not the upper crust teams, but I think they're good, not great.
Andy Behrens doing work with Dalton Del Don, Chris Harris, veterans in the fantasy football game. Unbelievable new site, The Deep Shot. Andy, tell everybody about it. We can get better at fantasy football.
Oh, yeah, really appreciate you guys. Yeah, come visit us at The Deep Shot. Subscribe to the Yacht Club podcast. It's me, it's Chris, it's me and Dalton on The Deep Shot. It's all the stuff you're familiar with. It's our ranks. It's our waiver wire previews. Dalton's got a ton of end-of-week content for you. So please, I'd be appreciative if you guys would check it out.
Okay, wait a second. I'm behind here. Does this mean like you're splicing in yacht rock music? Is that kind of the thing?
No. It's like a Russian nesting doll of inside jokes to get to why we refer to it as the Yacht Club. Chris likes to say that he does the podcast from his yacht. I can't deny it. I can't say he doesn't. He may.
We have a local band called Yacht Club, and they do just perform yacht rock classics. They're friends of the show, and what you just described about your podcast is kind of what people get when they tune into the sports bar. Just nothing but inside jokes, and how do we get to where we are?
That's it. Yep, it's me sitting around in a little captain's hat.
Andy, listen to a little Steely Dan. Yeah, I could see it.
Yep.
Andy, appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody.
There's Andy Behrens joining us every week at this time. The Deep Shot is the website to check out where you get Andy's rankings and just a better knowledge of fantasy football.
I go back to PJ Glasser yesterday where he said, all right, and it's a stat, like Josh Allen has faced the Chiefs now 9 times in his career. 8 of the 9 times the over has hit on rushing attempts.
9 times.
So if the rushing attempts are set at 7, that's why, like, if Andy's looking at this, okay, there is that, okay, we say cape, but it's, okay, if it's going to be, it's up to me sort of thing with Josh. So I'm not that you would take Josh Allen out of said fantasy lineup, but I thought it's very interesting that Andy has Mahomes and Allen 1-2 in fantasy rankings for a game that we think is going to be ball control. Maybe this is going to be a good old-fashioned shootout there.
Well, I think the potential for those guys to be the driving force behind the team getting into the end zone, whether it's through Allen's arms or Allen getting in with his legs, Mahomes in his arm, that those guys are going to be the centerpiece of the points. It's not necessarily going to be the running game of Kansas City. Maybe it's Cook, but maybe it's Cook through the air. right? Maybe it's the thing that we haven't seen the Bills offense do, where Josh Allen is hitting James Cook in stride in the flat or on a wheel route down the sideline. Also solidify Andy's belief that Allen is the number 2 quarterback this week in fantasy. The rushing upside is there. I know you've already made your selection, and I'm not going to make my selection just to be contrarian, but I do feel differently about this game than I think a lot of people feel.
I have the Chiefs winning this by 10, which there's no shame in it, but we'll rationalize, well, it'll be different this time when we get to January.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, I don't want that for Bills fans' sake to happen, but I just don't like where there's something off with the vibe of this team, and maybe vibes aren't a thing we should kind of measure here, Danger. And he went on IR, and we never heard from him again. Okay, like when somebody's on IR, it's like you can't ask about him. What happened to Tyler Bass? Does this mean Tyler Bass is reactivated this week off IR?
We haven't had his practice window opened. We don't know.
They could open his window at any point. I mean, like, what would be the practice window? Hey, I've been kicking on the side. Okay, let's look. Okay, it's open, and you're back. Or are we bringing somebody else off the street?
There's some hot kicker talk, just unscripted hot kicker talk, because Prater's on the injury report. I don't like that. It's calf injury, right?
That's not good.
He's 41.
Not good.
I mean, come on. I remember getting calf injuries when I was 41. Hurt like hell. Is he going to be good to go? We don't know. We'll find out.
Could be just gamesmanship. Who knows?
Oh, boy. Here we go. We got to get to happy hour next. We got a round of shots coming up. We have last call on the way. We've got a Game 6 to look forward to tomorrow night in Toronto for the World Series.
We do, and I think we can play this audio from a very, very reliable source, or an observer, I should say, in Steve Smith on Keon Coleman, because it's one thing for you and I to say this, but for a legend like Steve Smith, Agent Zero, to really be critical. I didn't mean that Agent Zero. He was nicknamed Agent Zero, and Coleman's number 0. But to hear Smith criticize, I think it's worth your listen.
All right, we'll get to that and your calls at 866-432-6585-866-4FAN.
AM 950 The Fan, Rochester. WROC AM, WBEE HD2 Rochester. And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports Update.
Our summer still will have the Buffalo Bills coming back to Rochester, the team announcing a new 3-year deal with St. John Fisher. Josh Palmer returning today to practice. The wide receiver was limited as Kansas City is on the horizon. Also limited today, kicker Matt Prater. He's got a calf injury. Rookie Max Hairston on facing the great Patrick Mahomes.
Trying to keep myself calm, trying to keep myself focused on just learning them right now. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. Just know that plaster drill is real and just have it in my mindset that every play could be extended no matter what. So just keep preparing that in my mind right now. Hopefully that'll help make Sunday I'll be more alert.
Our coverage Sunday will begin at noon here on The Fan. Tonight we've got Sabres hockey. They are in Boston. World Series coming up tomorrow night, Game 6. Jays up 3-2 on the Dodgers. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
It is happy hour. Welcome in to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia, and thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM and AM 950. Also on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. You can hear us on your mobile device when you download the free Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. Search out The Fan Rochester to find us. And if you missed Andy Barron's help set your Week 9 lineup, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen to your shows, search out the Sports Bar and you'll find our guest appearances there. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Kind of bummed for the kids tomorrow night. I mean, it's going to be kind of a crappy night. We've been lucky up to this point here this fall. I don't want to see that on Halloween.
No, I remember growing up in Minnesota in the Great Northern Plains. A little rain, a little wind. That was nothing, man. I don't know if you were like me, but my mom, the scene in A Christmas Story where they dress up Ralphie and he can't get his arms down? That's how I felt every Halloween because it was always the costume on top of the snowsuit because of how cold it was as you're going door to door battling through a blizzard or, snowflakes flying through the air. That was a regular occurrence, I remember as a kid. In recent years, we've been blessed. I mean, we've had some really nice Halloweens.
Yeah.
Really nice Halloweens.
Yeah, but you know what? Get after it tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm for it. It'd be less trick-or-treaters if we have less people getting after it tomorrow night, which I'm kind of bummed about. I mean, I was prepared. I don't have the girls going trick-or-treating anymore, so I was prepared to hand out candy. I was trying to convince Sandy to go full-size candy bar so we could be the cool house on the block. But I guess people will just have to settle for me watching the World Series in my screened-in garage, my Italian living room.
Now, do you get like some dads like that'll pop by that you don't know and they'll look in and whatever you're watching, you'll just kind of...
It's a weird thing because our cars are parked in the driveway. You can hear the action as you're walking up the driveway, but you have to look at a certain angle to be able to see, there's a game on in there. Okay. But, look, who am I to say no? If you want to come on in and have a cold one, please, it's Halloween. We should celebrate it like any other holiday.
We can share a cold one and maybe a win or two.
I'm guessing you're going to be celebrating around this time tomorrow. Like the fridge hasn't been hooked up here in a while. In fact, somebody took it, right?
I made that call.
All right.
I wanted the fridge, but not at the expense of our show, Gino. It was making noise.
Oh, okay.
And it was bothering me because it was making noise.
Well, now here's the little secret. And the B, they have their own little kitchenette area.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, in fact, it's named after Terry Clifford. The plaque is there.
Wait, when you work here for years, you don't get a gold watch. You get a closet named after you.
So the Terry Clifford closet. In the Terry Clifford closet, there, and I never go in there because I don't want to be like the one mooching off there, but they have their little drinks. But that's not to say that around noon tomorrow you could pop a few in there and then get them all nice and cold.
Who's to say? Who's to say? Or maybe I've turned over a new leaf, Gino.
Oh, get out of here.
Maybe I'm trying to,
Ding.
eat a little
Ding,
healthier,
ding,
drink a little less,
ding, ding, ding.
work out a little bit more. I don't know. Trying to extend my life so I can spend more hours of my day hanging out here in the sports bar with you.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, so no fridge in the studio. And, if you're in the neighborhood and your kids are out trick-or-treating, you're looking for safe harbor, hey, the garage will be nice and dry. You just pop open the screen and come on in. We'll watch Game 6 together.
I would think, though, by the time that gets going, like our neighborhood, like pretty much by 8 o'clock, it's done.
Yeah.
Like for you, like.
Yeah, I get home and I get a couple of hours of it. And, yeah, because I'm usually home around 6:20, 6:30-ish. And by the time, 8:30 usually is about it.
I should know this. I'm looking this up. 7:30 for the kickoff tomorrow night.
Syracuse?
Jordan Hudson at the Orange.
Jordan Hudson versus the North Carolina Child Brides versus the Syracuse Orange.
How many students? Like, if you're dressing up as Jordan Hudson, what are you dressing up as?
I think you're doing the Mermaid Belichick thing.
I think so.
I think you have to. I think the students of Syracuse are wise enough to know that's the cost.
This has the recipe, the ability to be something that is totally like memes everywhere. Like, don't blow this, Syracuse. We have high expectation. I don't care if your football team wins or loses. All I care about is, can you make sure that you're doing us proud with needling the coach there a little.
We've got plenty of costume suggestions for tomorrow, Gino. We haven't really decided if we're going to dress up or not. I think we're leaning more towards not, but Pete, one of our regulars on X, where you can reach out to us at the Fan Rochester, that's Elon's Twitter, suggested I dress up as former Bears head coach Mark Trestman, and Gene, you dress up as former Bills head coach Chan Gailey. I think Pete.
Why would you want to be Trestman?
Pete is saying that that's who we look like. Me with the glasses and Trestman. So what Pete is saying is that I look like a pedophile and you look like a grizzled old man. That's what you're saying, Pete? I don't know. I can't get behind that for a costume.
I'm going to let that one go. Allegedly.
It's Mark. I'm saying he looks like it. I'm not saying he is one. I'm saying he just like we said, Adam Gase looks like somebody who kills pets.
True.
Oh, and then, of course, Chris in South Central Kentucky, the barfly of the sports bar, the Barney of the sports bar.
Hey, we threw out Chris. Oh, no, he's back. Hey, everybody.
Says we should dress up as McDermott and Bean. Come on. What do you do? How do you dress up as McDermott and Bean? You could be McDermott, I'll be Bean. What do I do? Just walk around going,
McDermott,
listen.
like McDermott has gone with the fashion glasses now.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that would be step one: long sleeves and perpetual clapping. Mm-hmm. How would you dress up as Bean?
You get the cool aviators and a snazzy suit, and start every sentence with listen.
I guess that would be it. Yeah, the aviators. Listen. That's the key, and then you're dressing up as a
Yeah, I can't see it. We'll see. Tomorrow, to be honest with you, I'm so disgruntled on not having my kids trick-or-treating and not having a candy haul. I don't know if I can do the power rankings.
I'm Mike Danger, and in the Cats in the Cradle.
Cats in the
I'm
Cradle.
really sad my daughters don't pay
attention.
attention.
You already know the number one candy. I've made my intentions clear. I've telegraphed the pass. It's a candy that's not just a Halloween candy anymore. It's just become the innovation, the candy innovation that has been displayed by the Nerds Gummy Clusters is a hard thing to beat.
The people want this, Danger. You're going to have to dig deep and find a way to do the candy rankings.
You know what I'll do?
You're assuming that people remember this from last year. I don't.
You know what I'll do? I'll do a quick taste test of some of the candy that we'll be distributing at our house at Chateau Dangereux tomorrow night. What we have, I'll sample until I get in trouble. Save some of that for tomorrow for the kids tomorrow. It's for the kids tomorrow. I'll sample to a point.
So there was candy today, apparently, because Shannon, our fine sales assistant, offered me some, which I gracefully took. Apparently, that was one of the things available at our office party. We had a Halloween office party, Danger, but they put it right in the middle of the show. So.
Starting to think that they're sending us a message. Whether it's scheduling a party while we're on the air, the only live afternoon show in Rochester, or the alarm going off during our show because they think the building is empty and it's not.
That was a little alarming. I'm getting... Or was I just yelling so loud that I set the alarm? Tripped the alarm. I don't think that was it. But
whatever it is, yeah, they might be sending a message.
That was, I think, a first in Rochester radio yesterday. Like, Danger, you talk for a second. I have to go shut off the alarm across the building.
We don't want RPD showing up at our building. They got enough stuff going on. They don't need to answer to an alarm that isn't an alarm. Maybe they're sending us a message. Is Keon Coleman getting the message? Keon Coleman, rookie season. Middle of the season, trade deadline, the Bills go out and they trade for Amari Cooper. He's a rookie. Yeah, okay. He's not the guy yet.
Keon Coleman also gets clocked by Jordan, excuse me, the safety, Poyer, excuse me.
Uh-huh.
So Poyer hits him, breaks his wrist or some sort of injury. That was the first game in November, and he was not right the rest of the season.
If I remember right, Seattle was a good game for Coleman. He had a good game in Seattle.
Yeah, he had the one play.
Mm-hmm.
One play. But after that, all right, rookie season, Sean McDermott calls him out, mentions him by name. Also, Dalton Kincaid is, hey, guys that we want to see more out of. Now, we filed it away that in that Monday night blowout win against Jacksonville last year, oh, wait a second, he was actually suspended for the first quarter of that game. And then, hey, this year, he's not starting out there. What's going on? And McDermott didn't sweep this under the rug. He said, nope, that's disciplinary. And then what was it about? Well, it's internal. Okay, but you didn't need to tell the world that. But so that's now 2 disciplinary issues. And then when we talked to Damon Amendola, who, by the way, is fantastic, 425 tomorrow, the Bill Maddock podcast, DA was talking to a producer from Hard Knocks where we have it confirmed that the Bills went to Hard Knocks, and the Bills have the final say, hey, we don't want you to feature our second-year wide receiver, Keon Coleman. Now, Keon Coleman, big personality. No, we don't want that. We want, you to feature other guys, which,
featured KJ Hamler and guys that didn't even make the team. We're bringing all this up because, look, it's the trade deadline on Tuesday. A lot has been made in the last few weeks of the Bills wide receivers' inability to get separation. And when we say that, I think you could say it's solely Keon Coleman who's unable to get separation.
Shakir has a role in this team. I think he does it very well. Now, he was rewarded for that. Dalton Kincaid. Now, he missed the Atlanta game, but I think we can say Dalton Kincaid has taken a step forward.
The most productive receiver they've had this year.
Yeah. So, and then Palmer, Palmer was big, as was Coleman, in that comeback against the Ravens. I think we're all hoping that Palmer, and again, he's taking steps to a return this week. But when we talk about separation, it's far and away the guy that you were pinning your hopes on that would add something to this offense.
You have him as an X. You have him in the outside, and you think, this is the guy. This is our wide receiver one of the future. And when you look at the analytics, and when you look at all the charts, and you look at all the things that talk about separation and yards after the catch and everything that goes with it, it does not paint a flattering picture through half of the season on Keon Coleman so far. He had a good week 1 against the Ravens. You mentioned it. But since then, it's been rough. And, you don't have to take my word for it or Gino's word for it or anybody that talks about this. You don't have to take their word for it. But when a legendary wide receiver like Steve Smith, who traditionally has been pretty right on with his receiver evaluations.
This was from a primetime matchup where at the time Judy was a receiver with the Broncos, and they're playing a game in Kansas City. It's
2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago, yeah. And this is on the NFL Network, Danger. This isn't some podcast. This is Steve Smith telling everybody the storyline between him and Jerry Jeudy.
I called out to him because on my podcast, Cut to It, I just talked about guys that maybe have not showed up in a way or in a manner. And so the word that I've used to describe him in the past was a jag, just a guy. Just a guy. And so when I saw him, he's playing well. I wanted to say to him face to face, like, hey, I know I said some things in the past I probably shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. That's what I wanted to say to him. His response, Mike Robb and Bucky, was ninja.
Ninja.
Yes, I'm using the word ninja. I'm just using the word ninja. I don't mess with you. And it was a curse word. And so I was like, all right. And then he repeated it. So I'll say it again. I'm sorry that I said you were a jag, just a guy who's an average wide receiver that used a first-round pick on that isn't doing anything. I hope today that you actually show up in a way that you haven't showed up in the last couple of years since they drafted you. So if you ever got a problem with Agent 89, I'm sorry for saying that you're an average wide receiver that they eventually will move on. And when teams call me and asking, should they trade for you, I will say no, don't trade for Jerry Jeudy because he's mentally unable to handle constructive criticism from people who watch specifically, can he be a wide receiver? He could be a wide receiver. He's a tier 3. Go back into the studio. I'm done now. Thank you.
Okay.
That was Take a Year nominee from 2023. And that now, if you took the personal stuff away, the name calling, and that's what set Steve Smith up. I can only imagine what he's saying on this podcast. So here we are. Oh, by the way, he was right. Like, sure, Jerry Jeudy had a big game for the Browns in that one game against Denver. But
if you were to classify him and say, Jerry Jeudy, he's just a guy. Yes, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
So is Keon Coleman just a guy, or does he have the ability to be more than just a guy? Does he have the ability to be the wide receiver one that I think the Bills wanted him to be when they took him in the second round, early in the second round? Well, Steve Smith broke down the film on his podcast and had plenty to say about what his eyes are telling him on the Bills receiver.
The short version, nothing. Haven't seen anything from him because he hasn't had the opportunities because the opportunities don't make themselves available. He just doesn't get open fast. Josh Allen looks his way. Josh looks over there, but Josh gets off of him very fast. That means he's taking too long. That means the quarterback doesn't have confidence in your ability to get there.
To win quickly.
He doesn't have the ability to be a true number one, and he's not. He is an undeveloped athlete that really has been put in a position that is unfair to him because what he brings to the table as a collegiate athlete was good, but people automatically believe and assume that what they did on Sundays is automatically going to translate to him doing the exact same thing in the pros. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't happen that way. It takes time. But what also it takes time is for y'all to realize, maybe he ain't the one. And it's tough. He doesn't run a lot of routes.
The thing that stuck out from that was he's been put in a situation. And when I think about that, what situation has he been put in? Well, everybody before he was drafted was saying, the people that watch this stuff closely, that analyze and evaluate wide receivers, say, look, his best path to success in the NFL, it's kind of like an Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of role where he's a big slot. But you got him on the outside. And the ability to jump ball and all that stuff, that's what you want, right? You want to see him do that. We'll get into that because Steve Smith breaks it all down.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. And like, what he's saying is accurate. Sure, we want to just, say this isn't good enough, but did the Bills make the mistake by drafting the wrong skill set? And I think that's a fair question.
More on Keon Coleman from Steve Smith Sr.
I just don't think Keon Coleman is in the right position. He can't play X. I keep saying it. He cannot play X. That is not a good position for him. You have to get him on the move. You have to create him free access. Watching his plays, man, sometimes he looks like he's loafing. He looks like he's jogging. He ain't the guy. Can't get separation. Can't get off the jam. Doesn't have it. You reached and got burned. But also, too, the difference is you can't teach a dog how to bark. You either got it or you don't. Can he be a dog? I don't know. I don't know him. I'm just watching film. But I also don't have to watch film. I don't have to speak to you to know if you can play football. You've had 345 plays thus far. 210 of them have been receiving snaps, meaning you are a viable option. And they have selected to not throw you the ball a lot of the times.
The I don't know part is the part that I'm clinging on to that. Does he have that dog in him? We don't know. We don't know. But this is a test.
Well, I go back to how they're managing him, kind of keeping him under wraps, openly saying, hey, we've disciplined him for whatever it was, and we're not going to give you this opportunity. It's a pretty good opportunity, right, if you want to build a brand and maybe make endorsement money on the side to be on Hard Knocks. No, we're not going to allow that. huh. I think I also take away from that, well, okay, why did that happen? If the Bills drafted the wrong skill set, was it you really thought this guy could win from the outside? Was it, hey, it's Joe Brady who, at that point, how many games did he have under his belt? 7? Remember, he took over midseason the year before? Like, where is the breakdown between the coaching staff and the scouting department, ultimately Brandon Beane, that said, hey, that's the type of receiver we want? No, it shouldn't have happened.
Was there a desperation because they had just moved off of Diggs, a desperation to find a guy who could fill that role? Not just on the field, but also off the field.
See, this is the interesting part where the Bills put a lot of stock into that stuff when it comes to, which, sure, you should evaluate, character and chemistry and all that stuff. And I don't think he, like I would say, I don't know the guy.
From what we know, he's got an outgoing personality. He's a lot of fun. He's funny. I feel the same way about Maxwell Hairston, like hearing him talk and hearing him in the media. He sounds like he's a funny guy. They both kind of strike me as very similar in terms of their personality. So you get that the Bills have a type, right? Everybody knows they have a type when they talk about who they want to draft and bring into this team. Clearly, somebody who has a type like Stephon Diggs was not the kind of guy that they wanted to keep around longer than they needed to when it got bad. The film breakdown, and I'm not going to do it justice by playing the audio. I will play the audio, but there is a part of the film breakdown that Smith does on his podcast that is interesting, and he'll talk about it here. But imagine Keon Coleman lining up pre-snap, looking at the ball, because that's what you have to do when you're on the road. You can't hear the count, but not looking at the corner or where the corner or the defensive back is actually lined up and positioned, only to get a catch on a slant and then immediately turtle as if to brace for a big hit because you don't know where that DB is.
You may have remembered this play from the Carolina game, too. Like, this is the one, like, okay.
It's his catch.
Yeah, and this doesn't happen until the second half, but you drafted him with the idea, okay, physicality, that spells to me yak, right? Yards after catch. We're not seeing that.
Up here at the top, look how he catches the football on that slant. He snagged that football with his body. He has zero confidence in his game right now. I don't care what lie he's telling me. What I wrote in my notes, caught with so unsure hands, that tells me everything. He runs the route. He never looks at the corner. Never. Because he doesn't believe in what he's doing. And that's a lack of in him. Then when he catches it with his body, first thing he does is, what does he do? He corrals. Why? Because he never looked at the corner and he has no idea where the defender is on the field. Now, what he should have done, which we've seen him in college do, is catch that thing with his hands and he tries to get somewhere and get active. That's what we saw him do at Michigan State, and that's what we saw him do at Florida State. Now what we seeing him do with the Buffalo Bills, he ain't the guy.
Do what we see Khalil Shakir do, which is get the ball and go someplace, right?
Shakir's slippery. I just thought Coleman was going to be this guy that, all right, at 50-50, I'm going to run over you, and like you said, big slot.
And then the numbers, when you talk about the routes that he's run, there's a staggering amount of go routes as opposed to other routes on the wide receiver route tree.
Look at his route tree right now on this graphic. He has not run one comeback. Look at these numbers. This is crazy. 35% is a go route. Out of the receiving snaps, yak per reception, yak 1.6. Contested targets, 12. Contested catches off those targets. And you remember, I get accused of people who are taller than 6 feet. Oh, Steve, you're jealous. My man, out of 12 contested targets, he got 4. That is less than 30 cents, okay? Less than 30 cents. The 5 stick of gum is 35 cents right now. You can't even buy 5 sticks of gum. 26.7%. He doesn't have the ability to be a true number one, and he's not.
Well, they're looking. They're looking to see if they can add somebody.
Well,
they did it last year.
If you're looking, that would indicate what?
You know already.
Wow. Well, they're looking, and as you and others have pointed out, the Bills with the least amount of cap space right now, which would make it kind of difficult to go and get that receiver you desire. And I ultimately think, Danger, that the receiver that could be taking snaps from Keon Coleman right now is on the practice squad.
And practicing this week. Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Gabe Davis. Oh, boy.
In anything, and I would welcome anybody's feedback at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Is there anything that Smith said there that upsets you? Is there anything that you could pick apart? Is there anything debatable?
I didn't hear anything, including the last part, which I think is important. If the Bills are looking at wide receiver, what does that tell you? They already know Keon Coleman might not be the guy. I go back to the fumble against New England.
Yeah.
And I think we know this head coach, the word he always uses is trust. He's got to trust you. He's had to discipline him twice. He's fumbled the ball. He's been inconsistent. He doesn't trust him. Therefore, the quarterback's not going to trust him. Tough spot. Josh Palmer practicing today. Maybe that means he's back.
We should point out, and it would shock you to learn that the guy that was targeted the most times in Carolina was actually Keon Coleman. Didn't get his first catch until the second half. And since you put up 40 points, it's like, whoever. We're in this weird spot. First 4 games, 30-plus points. Couple losses, 40-point game. But yet something's off. And if you're trying to fix it, is it just as simple as player personnel danger? Trying something different.
Maybe it's the play calling. I contend that they're holding back. I think they've got some goodies that they're not showing because they don't want to put it on film. Maybe we see it against Kansas City because you want to beat Kansas City.
You don't think Spagnuolo will say, hey, we haven't seen really the wheel route. I think of Ty Johnson, real wheel route. We haven't seen Cook do this. Like, you don't think that Kansas City is going to be like, okay, guys, we haven't seen this, but we did this by AI, and this is how it could look.
Hey, you would think that they'd be that prepared. I can't tell you what their preparation methods are. I can tell you that there are some things that we haven't seen a lot of this year, and you mentioned a couple of them just there, that maybe we do see on Sunday to catch the Chiefs a little bit off guard. And with Keon Coleman, look, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on the guy. It's his second year, and it used to be where wide receivers would need a year or two to really develop into their game and become special in the NFL. If he can't physically do it, then I lose hope, and I think to myself, all right, maybe there is no way that he can do it. But we've seen him at times elevate his game. We've seen him have big games. So you want to believe that there's something in there, even if Steve Smith is going to break apart his film and say he's playing without confidence. That's a big thing to me. Both the quarterback and the wide receiver have to play with ridiculous confidence.
Now, the Bills practice today. Coleman was out there, and Elaine Getzenberg reporting that, indeed, Coleman was asked about this. He said he had no comment.
Next question. Good.
You don't need to state your case and defend yourself.
Here's what I would hope. If and it will happen, at some point, Steve Smith Sr. and Keon Coleman's paths will cross. I hope that Coleman accepts the criticism or says, I heard it or didn't hear it, or at least is cordial. But don't pull off the Jerry Jeudy move. You don't need to have Steve Smith make another example of a wide receiver who's not panning out in the NFL. I don't want to see that. Be open to it. Be open to the coaching. Be open to the learning. And the other part of this, with the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday, is Coleman's agent taking to social media and sending out cryptic tweets.
That's the thing. Like, the agent, see, this is the part that I think a lot of athletes don't realize, or they forget it. They don't understand. The agent works for you. So when the agent tweets out an emoji and an alarm clock, okay, I hate that cryptic nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And then responding to that is Coleman with laughing emojis. Okay, what are we talking about? Are you talking about the trade deadline? Are you talking about trying to force your way out of Buffalo? I don't know. But if you're an agent, like, I lose respect for the agent for doing something like that.
We got to get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
We do. College football is completely drunk, Danger.
Oh, it is.
Oh, my gosh.
When I saw this,
Okay, so if you don't like politics mixing with sports, I don't either. But this is actually a story we'll explain. There is one person we can cross off the list for Penn State. Somebody got an extension today. We have a lawsuit concerning college football. Of course we do. And we have Trey Savage to talk about. Because if you listen to me, I told you exactly how this World Series.
Nobody cares when you're right. Nobody cares. They only want to tell you when you're wrong. All right, we'll get to a round of shots. Don't forget about last call. You can have the final word on the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326.
Rochester Sports Update.
Good news for us here in Rochester concerning the Buffalo Bills. The team already announcing an extension with St. John Fisher. It's a new 3-year deal. Josh Palmer back at work today on a limited basis. Matt Prater also limited today. He's got a calf injury. Josh Allen certainly has a lot of respect for Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo.
He's awesome. After the game, we always kind of share a quick little tap, whatever it is. Got a lot of respect for him. He's one of the best in the business, if not the best in the business. Shows you a lot of different looks, and he knows how to call a football game, that's for sure.
Week 9 begins tonight. It's the Ravens and Dolphins down in South Florida. We've got Sabres hockey tonight. The team has lost in overtime 2 straight. Buffalo in Boston. The Amherst play the first of 2 in Laval tomorrow night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, The Fan, Rochester.
All right, happy hour continues. It's time for a round of shots in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, interesting. Stevie Style, Stevie Johnson, following up our story here today, talking about the Steve Smith comments on Keon Coleman and why it isn't working here. I think we value the opinion of Stevie Johnson, right? Stevie Johnson, and we got to get him back on the show here too. Here's Stevie Johnson's take on Keon Coleman. If Keon is on the Panthers or the 49ers right now, he'd have high volume and a fair argument for low production. He literally gets the same low, long developing route 8 to 10 times. Then you end in a random fumble. Timing was bad, but still an easy fix. It's a coaching thing, in my opinion.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, he's saying the same thing. Like that, don't have him run go routes. That's not his thing.
Right.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a receiver like Xavier Worthy running go routes for Buffalo?
One can only dream.
Yeah. The last time
Ladd McConkey, line 1. Ladd McConkey, line 1. Go ahead. Sorry.
Last time the Dodgers played an elimination game in the postseason, Danger. You got to go back to the divisional series last year against the Padres. The Dodgers were down 2-1 before winning that series in 5. Blake Snell giving up 2 homers on 3 pitches to start the game. That was the big deal. Perhaps that was the game. Perhaps the bigger performance, though, was by 22-year-old Trey Savage, 12 strikeouts, allowing only 3 hits, no walks. Jays now up 3 games to 2.
I feel like we say this every year in the World Series. Somebody rises up, has a great performance, and benefits from that performance. Like Savage is going to get paid, right? At some point in his career, he's going to break the bank in a big way, and we'll all point to that performance in Game 5 is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, not quite yet, though. Good segue here, as here's hoping that you, driving home right now, bring in more than Trey Savage did this year. In the regular season, he made $57,204.
My God.
That's the minor league pay plus the late season call-up combined.
My God.
Mind you, this isn't a guy that they signed as some undrafted free agent. He was a first-round pick, Danger, for 2024, number 20 overall. When asked about the upcoming bonus for the postseason, Savage confirmed the playoff paycheck will be nice whenever that hits.
Yeah, I think of that. I think of guys like, Skeens, obviously. These guys are, if that's what's next, great. I know that there's countless guys that have these kind of postseason performances, and they kind of come and go, and they lack consistency, and we want that. But that was an unbelievable performance last night. 12 strikeouts.
Well, I was wondering how are they going to deal with Ohtani. He went right at him.
Yeah.
To the point where, Ohtani ends up striking out and losing his helmet on it.
Yeah.
So
made him look foolish.
Now, Game 6, going to be a little different, right? You get by the way, here's Yamamoto. Remember this guy? Gausman's okay for Toronto. We're going to talk to Jim Riley, our guy from Ballcap Sports. He's also a big Jay fan. And look, he told us exactly how Game 1 would go, that you could get the Snell, which they did, and the Jays put up a lot. So we'll get him on tomorrow around 3:30. Game 6, if you're thinking about this on Halloween night, as soon as the Jays won, the price went above $1,500 US, which, of course, you get the discount. Did you know right now? The U.S. dollar 40 cents.
I was aware.
Yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, you do get that discount. Also, there's a chance the Jays get back their leadoff hitter tomorrow, George Springer, the 36-year-old. They say was available if needed in Game 5 as a pinch hitter. We'll see if that extra day of rest will help him out.
All right, so, Gino, you said Jays in 7, so you don't think they're getting it done?
No, I think Yamamoto is that good. And then Game 7. But when we have Jim on tomorrow, and the one thing I said, okay, the Dodger bullpen is mad. I was wrong on that.
It's trash.
It's bad. It's trash. Okay, not having Vesia, that's showing up. Banda, terrible. Trinan, don't even bother. Like, it's at the point for Game 6, if it's an elimination game, I wouldn't put it past them to put out Ohtani for, like, an inning. Like, you're literally trying everything just to get to the next night. Mike Danger, this is a real story. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry says that LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward won't be involved in selecting the new football coach at LSU. The governor saying he would let President Trump do it before Woodward.
Wow.
The governor is upset at Woodward for agreeing to a 10-year, $95 million contract with the now departed Brian Kelly, leaving LSU on the hook for a $54 million buyout. To that point, I would say, well, then what the heck did you hire the AD for? Fire the AD then,
I think to myself, okay, it's a state school, so the governor's involved, but he's also making an example of this AD and pandering to the people that can't believe this AD gave Brian Kelly a 10-year deal. I'd say if there's a fault here for the AD, it's like, yeah, stop handing out 10-year deals. He did the same thing with Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, which got him fired, and he ended up at LSU. And he did the same thing again. So the rule here is no more 10-year deals. The game changes too quickly.
Well,
what in what world do you think a 10-year contract, a 10-year pact is good with anybody?
Bill Ryder brought up a good point, though. This almost makes it look like the LSU job. Okay, do I really want to go here where I'm being managed by people who don't know anything about football?
Yeah.
Like, you think you're helping, really you're not.
Yeah, no, you think the governor is saying this by help? He's not helping. He knows he's not helping. He's pandering right now.
He's pandering to his base. But
that's right. Yeah, that's all this is.
And ultimately, it wouldn't surprise me. He has nothing to do with it whatsoever.
He won't have anything to do with it. Maybe it isn't the AD, but I mean, you got to run this by the governor. Okay, fine, run it by the governor. Does the governor know ball? Does the governor look at the resumes?
All right, I haven't been in tune as some others have with the Penn State coaching search, but isn't there a story like the governor met with Urban Meyer in Pennsylvania? Something like that? I
guess when you're talking about that much money going to an employee at a state university, the governor probably wants to be aware of how much money is being spent, right? So I get that. But the problem I would have is the governor who knows nothing about football, or the governor that is like us, that wants to pretend like he knows a lot about football, is going to be the guy that's responsible for making that hire. It's a pretty simple thing. The message for me is clear. Stop giving out 10-year deals. Stop giving out bad deals. It's a bad contract. You negotiated a bad deal.
Who gets a 10-year deal in the NFL? No one.
It doesn't happen. Like, what made you think that it was a good idea with Jimbo Fisher that got you fired? And let me just do it again. You're an idiot. Part of this is on Woodward. You don't give out 10-year deals.
Maybe that was Kelly then too, because
he negotiated a great deal for himself.
What we say here in the sports bar, that everyone has a number. Hey, this is the AD at LSU. I know you got a great job here. Well, I know. Thank you very much. Well, what if?
Yeah, right.
Like, we get like,
if Kelly said, I'll leave Notre Dame, but need a 10-year deal. You give those out, right? And then good for Kelly. He negotiated a great deal for himself. And now Woodward, the AD, he can't give out any more 10-year deals. Okay.
Except for me and you. I would never leave the sports bar if somebody came with a number. Danger. I'd be like, no.
Yeah? You sure about that? Everyone has a number.
Everyone has a number.
Everyone has a number.
Meanwhile, at Nebraska, they gave Matt Rule 2 more years. That's going to keep him there until 2032.
This is awesome. This is college football. You're right. It's drunk. Yeah. Everybody is drunk. Everybody is using every opportunity that's open to further their bank account.
So he wasn't I was like, okay, they gave him what? He was up in 2026. He was up in 2027. No, he's up in 2030. And they mark up the buyout to $15 million. Again, drunk. Well, this should quiet down the speculation that Matt Rule might go to Penn State.
Yeah, and it's funny how this has happened now with Indiana and with Nebraska. Like guys that if Penn State is even mentioned, like we're not losing our coach to Penn frickin' State. We're not. It's not happening.
So Signelli and Rule, they should get what does James Franklin drink? Like send him the best there. Like thank you for the raise,
Right,
there, James.
and furthermore, like in the SEC, what Lane Kiffin is doing, like it's happening in the SEC too. Nobody's immune from this.
Like Lane Kiffin, you shouldn't go anywhere near Lane Kiffin, but yet there's going to be a bidding war for Lane Kiffin.
It's insane.
Drunk.
It's a good time to be a head coach in college football with at least some sort of stability in your job. If you're a candidate, if you're mentioned, if you're whispered as a candidate for some of these jobs, you're probably getting more money just for that.
Another story about money in college football, though this has nothing to do with coaching. Maybe indirectly it does because the state of UCLA football, blah, right? Well, today, the city of Pasadena and the Rose Bowl operating company have sued their primary tenant, UCLA.
Oh, boy.
As UCLA is apparently trying to move to SoFi Stadium.
Oh.
UCLA's current lease with the Rose Bowl expires in the year 2044.
Horrible deal.
Now, if you're not familiar with the geography of Los Angeles and like that Pasadena area, it's beautiful. SoFi is actually closer. The campus is more downtown, 12 miles. The Rose Bowl, 26 miles away from campus.
I'm gonna sue Victor Wembanyama. I'm gonna sue Matt Rule. I'm suing everybody.
Why are you suing?
I want to get out of this lease. It runs through 2044, and I spoke to the athletic director at UCLA. He was very mean to me, cursed me out on the phone, and it troubled me. I fell down the stairs.
You should sue Deshaun Foster. Like
I'm going to sue Deshaun Foster, and I'm going to sue Arian Foster, too. I'm suing everybody. Every Foster. All right, we got to go. Halloween tomorrow in the sports bar.
Oh, in the spirit of anything that can happen on Halloween, you just might here in the sports bar. Yep. Tomorrow, our buddy Damon Amendolara from the Bill Maddock podcast. Always great Bills takes. And yes, we'll set you up for the World Series Game 6. Jim Riley from Ball Cap Sports. Loaded show coming up tomorrow.
The Odyssey app is where you can go and listen to any part of the show that you may have missed, or our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're there. You'll find our shows. You can go back and watch any part of the show that you may have missed. If you're a podcast listener, search The Sports Bar wherever you get your programs, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You'll find our guest appearances like Andy Behrens from The Deep Shot. Right there. JR Sport Brief next. Sabres hockey coming up tonight at 7, but listen anyways. And thanks for listening to The Fan Rochester.